This way. All right, we're glad. And of course, you've got a lot of people that this is summertime in Washington, D.C., and so you've got a lot of people that have chose to take a tour of our nation's capital, and that's what they're doing. So the timing of this and the nature of the fact that so many people are in our nation's capital right now, really, let's let you step up in there. Let's listen in. Okay, you can understand the significance and the importance of having the police there, because when both sides get together, yes, it's for the most part peaceful, but it does get emotionally enraged, and you got both sides. Now, what's interesting to point out is that when you talk about any night of violence here, you got to really assume that any violence would be coming from the left. It would be coming from the pro-choice side. We said this before, and the pro-life side will be out here later doing a prayer service, and I would imagine that people that are involved in that type of faith base are not going to be the ones that, if a decision does not go their way, they're going to hurl rocks and scale fences and things like that. So I think some of the security measures around the city really isn't aimed to protect businesses and property from the pro-life side. It's more towards the pro-choice side, and that seems to be the side. Matter of fact, and one group, I'm not going to repeat their name over the air, has openly said, and they're passed out flyers here in the D.C. area, that if things do not go their way today or whenever the decision is reached, that there will be a night of violence. And they even go as far as saying at 8 p.m., a night of violence. So I talked to a couple business owners here in D.C. as we were making our way into here, and yesterday they claim that, they plan on basically, once if this does go there, if the decision is reached today and it is a overturn of Roe v. Wade, that they've told their employees, hey, let's not worry about going in on Monday. Let's just see what happens over the weekend. And of course, this is not just constricted to D.C. We're getting reports around the country of pro-choice demonstrations attacking, abortion or, basically parental centers, women's clinic, things like that. So this is not just targeted to D.C. So any major city right now in the country could experience a night of violence in this country. So I just encourage you that if you live in a major city right now and this thing is overturned, I would keep an eye out, and I would definitely stay home and secure. And if you have a business in a populated business area in a downtown district, I would maybe take precautions on that just to safeguard. We saw what happened in the riots of the summer of 2019 and the way that went, and the total disregard for public and private property. And that, I think, would play out again if a decision is not reached in what their favor. So there'll be times we're going to let you guys dip in and get a little flavor of everything going on. I'm going to bring in a gentleman here. I just met him a few moments ago, rather. Remind me your first and last name again.
Randall Terry, the founder of Operation Rescue.
Okay, you were telling me that decades ago you were here. You were one of the leaders in the pro-life movement. What does it mean for you today to be here in front of the Supreme Court on a possible reversal?
I've been fighting for almost 4 decades, hopefully for this day. And I've been telling people for decades, we will dance on the grave of Roe versus Wade. But it's one victory towards total victory. If Roe is overturned, as you know, about half of the states will make it illegal, but New York, California, New Jersey, Illinois, they're going to continue to kill children. So our mission is to pass a federal law that makes it a crime in all 50 states. Personally, I've been fighting my whole adult life for this. And if they overturn Roe today, I'll probably cry my eyes out.
I think a lot of people will do the same. Now, it's interesting that I had a group of young college-age girls in front of the Supreme Court yesterday, and I overheard them saying that they didn't like the court system right now. They didn't trust the court system right now. And I told them, you guys do know that if this was reversed, you can choose, if you choose to get an abortion, you can still do that in certain states. And her response was, only if you're privileged. And I then privileged. And then I told him, well, you know, the number one, race in our society that it has the most aborted babies is the African-American community. So if that's your standards, then I guess the African-American community is the most privileged that we have the access to abortion. So I guess my question to you is the amount of misinformation that's coming out of the media here in terms of what this means to abortion, how important is that outlets like ourselves let these people know these are the facts. This isn't just, there's a lot of rhetoric out there of what terms that this means to your ability to get an abortion.
Well, talking about misinformation from the media, that is part of what has sustained the abortion industry for 40 years, never showing the babies on TV, never showing fetal development, heartbeat, etc. The truth of the matter is, sadly, that if Roe versus Wade is overturned, many of these women in the states where it's illegal will simply drive to another state, or they will order an abortifacient, a murder pill in RU46. They'll order it in the mail, and they'll get it in their house. They'll pop it in their mouth. And I've got to tell you one other thing. You hit the nail on the head with the African-American community. They comprise 12% of the population, but they comprise 1/3 of all abortions. And many Black pro-life leaders have said, look, this is Black genocide. Let's wake up here. Planned Parenthood is doing the work of the Ku Klux Klan. So our hope is that Roe will fall today or Monday, and that we will then begin the long, arduous task of making abortion illegal in all 50 states. And then we're going to have to figure out how to make RU46 illegal and monitor the mail, because that's where most babies will die. It'll be the black market with RU46.
Brian Glenn reporting live in front of the Supreme Court here on what could be a very historical day here in the nation's capital. As we're monitoring the situation around the Capitol, we'll be able to bring you anything that develops outside of here as the sun goes down. And if this thing is reversed, we could see some violence, and they've actually have not been secretive of what they said they'll plan to do.
I was punched in the face the night of the leak. Broke my glasses. These are new glasses. So they're calling for violence, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
We'll get an announcement from the police.
This time a police line has been established. We're trying to peacefully separate the groups. I would ask the groups to go ahead and move either to their left or my right, so that the groups can approach and demonstrate peacefully. We want the groups to separate so everything stays peaceful at this time. A police line has been established. Those pro-choice individuals, please move to your right-hand side to continue your demonstration. We're trying to make sure everything stays peaceful and uneventful.
So we're getting a message from the Capitol Police here that they want the two groups to separate. They want the pro-choice side to kind of step back, and of course the pro-life side is on the side that we're on right now. That may give you a little bit of an indication of what could play out here later as a decision nears in this case. And they know that the emotions are charged. We've covered we're in politics, right? So we cover political events, and yes, you've got your election type emotions, but an emotions tied to this case and this topic is something that is indescribable. Actually, the only thing I can say that it's like is the NRA, the gun debates. I mean, people are very emotional about that. I'll see if I can't get him back in here. Let's go ahead and consume. We wanted to drop in on to see what that was. So let's finish our thoughts. You had your glasses broke the night of the leak. We talked about how vicious sometimes the left and the pro-choice side is, and what we might anticipate a little bit later tonight if this is overturned.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Abortion is violence. These people are committed to violence. So the fact that they're willing to commit acts of violence is part and parcel to who they are and what they do. Blood begets blood. So if there is violence, I will not be surprised. My question is this: where's the list of the person of interest from the FBI? They were able to round up 600 people in a matter of days here at the Capitol. You're going to tell me that they don't have a single person of interest for Jane's revenge? It's absurd.
It does seem a little absurd how that name and that person has not been identified, but yet they'll pull out within hours people that were inside the Capitol, and I think they were being tracked the entire time, but that's a completely different broadcast. But you're right, to your point. So, but do you think the intimidation factors that we've seen in front of the Supreme Court Justice's house is going to sway an opinion that we might hear from the court today?
It's possible. And that, I'll be honest with you, that's my fear. I think Roberts has been trying from the inside to not overturn Roe. If the 5 justices, thank you God for President Trump, if the 5 justices who are committed to overturning Roe as of the leak hold firm, then Roe will go down in flames. But the landscape has changed. We're in a cold civil war. We just are. And you have people on one side who are committed to love and life and liberty, and you have people on the other side that are committed to a new Green Deal, to abortion, to taking away your ability to defend yourself, to trans, drag queen for children. I mean, these people have lost their minds.
Yeah.
Then they're part and parcel with each other.
Yeah, and the fact that, a lot of you right now are saying, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where all these things in our culture, the decay of our nation, and it's little by little, it's inch by inch. They push it so far.
Hello, friends. Father Frank Pavone here. I'm speaking to you from the National Right to Life Convention. Here we are. We're set up in the exhibit area. My friend and colleague in pro-life leadership, Randall Terry, speaking there with Brian Glenn from Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have some of our team here in Atlanta. We are in Atlanta, where hundreds of pro-life leaders and activists are gathered for this convention taking place today and tomorrow. And of course, we are all eagerly watching together with you. I'm glad you're joining with us to see what decision or decisions the Supreme Court will issue today, starting at 10 a.m. We don't know how many there will be. We don't know if it will be the Dobbs case, but we're ready. And, I was thinking, I have Tom Glester here, too, from NIFLA, National Institute of Family and Life Advocates. He's an attorney. And, you've been involved in this movement as long as I have, right? Way back from
I even
4 decades ago.
I even remember the day Roe versus Wade came down. I was a junior in college, pre-law student at the University of Washington in Seattle. I very well remember that. So,
we are, as we're reflecting on what this means, it's time to really take a good look at Roe v. Wade itself. It was so weak. It was not only weak in its reasoning, which both the state of Mississippi said to the court, and also which the draft opinion of Justice Alito explains in great detail. Not only was it weak, extraordinarily weak in its reasoning, but it was weak, and Tom, you could comment on this too, it was weak in its framework. What I mean is there was no record in the case. I mean, usually, come a little closer into the camera here. A case goes to the court, it's got a record. Right, which means what? There's testimony, there's documentation.
Yeah, all sorts of things.
I don't think our people realize there was no record in Roe. They had an affidavit from this Norma McCorvey, whom we both knew very well, and later became pro-life. And that was about it. And there are a couple of little documents, and I remember with the oral arguments with the Doe case, which was the companion case of Roe, Sandra Cano, whom we also knew, who was also pro-life, went ahead and the justices were looking at this lack of a record, and they were actually asking during the oral arguments, you'll recall, is this a real person? Are there any facts to this case? Is there anything at all, real about this? And frankly, the other side didn't care. All they needed from Norma, all they wanted from Norma was her signature. They didn't care about anything else. They didn't care about a record. They didn't care about facts. They were saying, well, they didn't even care about Norma's pregnancy and helping her through the pregnancy. She ended up having that baby and making an adoption plan. What they cared about was, we want to set up a situation where a pregnant woman asks for abortion, and then we use her to represent all pregnant women, present and future, in American life, and that they should be able to have those babies killed. So, no record, number one. Number two, no appellate review. It jumped from the district court all the way directly to the Supreme Court. There was a law in place at that time, it's not in effect anymore, that allowed that to happen. Now, Tom, as an attorney, can you explain to the people the importance of appellate review? In other words, it goes from the district court up to one of the courts of appeals, right? And then they continue to examine the matter. I mean, there's a great benefit to the Supreme Court when they receive a case to be able to review. I mean, they're necessarily going to review the appellate review, right? Tell us, I mean, Roe lacks all of that.
Yeah, and it's because our system of justice has embedded within it checks and balances to make sure justice and truth come out in the end. So you have a trial court, you call witnesses, you have the witnesses' testimony. The other side gets to cross-examine the witnesses to determine, is this accurate?
Right.
You submit documentation as evidence, and everything's together. And then if it's a jury trial, it goes to the jury. You got 12 reasonable people selected in the process to go back in the jury room and figure this thing out. Okay, and then if there's error in any ruling of the judge, an error of law, or he doesn't allow certain evidence to come in for a reason, if there's error, you have the appellate level to look at that to correct
it, right?
And then finally, in the federal court system, there's the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court doesn't hear every case. They get 8,000 petitions a year. It's called a petition for a writ of certiorari.
Yeah.
They only take 100.
Yeah.
So this
small...
is but what happened?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. It's Janet here in the studio. And you're there at the National Right to Life Convention. But I would like for a minute just to go in front of the court, because we have all been in front of the court during all these protests. And we know how peaceful the pro-life side is, and we also know how lunatic the other side is. So let's just see what RSBN has just for 1 minute, then we'll come back and we'll have a conversation, okay? Let's just see what they're doing.
Okay. Generation since the passage of Roe v. Wade. It's about time that Roe's overturned, and we're hopeful for that today, and we're excited to be here.
Yeah, so we care so much about human rights, right? And constitutional rights. And if we want to be a society that values human rights, we need to value it from the beginning. And that's why we are the pro-life generation. And that's why we carry that passion now to be the post-Roe generation.
And I like the fact that this side of the protest is we're going to hear faith music, praise and worship, prayer. How big is that a part of your decision to be pro-life, as being grounded in your faith?
It only strengthens it. It only strengthens my pro-life beliefs, and I'm sure that's
why did they leave the door?
I agree. All right.
Post-Roe generation, and we will.
Just want to get your
abortion. We are the post-Roe generation, and we will abolish abortion.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on being out here today. We were talking about how important it is for the youth, the younger generation, of being pro-life and really embracing that, everyone is loved. The unborn, we must protect them.
Yeah, it's an exciting moment in history to be here. And what we've seen is that over the last 50 years, we have seen an ethic of life growing in the United States. We've seen more and more young people realizing what is a baby. And being, today we have a picture into the womb that people didn't have in the 1970s. For me personally, this is an exciting moment. I was outside the Supreme Court during Kavanaugh's confirmation, during Justice Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation, and we voted for this day. We're excited to be here.
And praise President Trump for putting the Supreme Court justices in place to be able to do that, because we know it's very important that he did that.
Right. We have a pro-life Supreme Court, so that's good.
So let's talk about the other side. And I'm going to walk over to the other side because I want to show how vicious that the other side is. But what's been the reaction for you being out here from the pro-choice side? Have they been mean to you? Have you received any slurs hurled at you or anything like that?
I mean, I think that as the time has gone on, people have gotten increasingly aggravated, knocking signs out, throwing water on us. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to stop us from showing up, being happy warriors, in contrast to what the other side shows up and exhibits. We're happy to be here, and we're excited about what our future holds.
We're happy you guys are here. We're all going to be praying. We're all going to pray that something happens later today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being out here. Thank you. All right, and we got the signs, the chants, the speakers. Let's listen in.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey,
To
hey,
the other side.
ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Roe v. Wade is going to go. Hey, hey.
Oh yeah, always a good.
All right, that gives you an idea. Now we're right in the middle of all of this on this side. Now, from what I understand, Students for Life will be holding a brief press conference here in reaction to a ruling today. We also got Father Frank Pavone that will join us with some special coverage as well. So he'll be on standby for that. So we've got you covered today in an event that something is planned. Let's walk over towards the other side and give you an idea of what it's like right now. Little bit of a not a scuffle, but a little bit of, obviously they're getting into the middle of it. Let's see if we can step in here real quick. They're going to separate the two groups there. That was getting a little physical at one point. Now, the organization that has the green bandanas and the green shirts, they have been very vocal the entire time on every demonstration out here.
Well, brothers and sisters, as you can see, activity in front of the court is intense. And as always, the pro-aborts act the worst. And look how wonderful the pro-lifers were, encouraging. It's a human rights issue and all that. We're going to be going now to the SCOTUS blog because any second now they're going to start. They'll release the first case. So we're going to have this up here. And Father.
Hi, Janet.
Excited?
Yes. Can you hear us all right? Can you hear us okay, Janet?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
All right. So I'm here with Brian Kemper.
Hey, Janet.
Everybody, Brian is our youth outreach director. And yeah, it's
Right.
about 1 minute or less till they announce the first decision. And for those of you that have never been with us for this before, what happens is that this live blog that you're seeing, which you can get yourself at scotusblog.com, will give the decisions in 10-minute intervals starting at 10. And the first thing we'll see is the name of the case that's just been issued. Then shortly thereafter, there will be a link to the text. And then after that, it'll say who authored it and what the vote was. So
10 a.m.
So we will see.
So-
They go in
so
reverse order of seniority of the justices.
Right. Yeah. So, Father, I'm going to rely on you to read the stuff for everybody. All right.
Yes, that's right. Yes, as we can see it, we've got it a
Like
little
you did.
closer to us here than you do. But Janet,
Right.
this is a day that so many people have been praying and working and marching for so long. Maybe today, maybe next week, we don't know. But it's important, so important that it's worth us just being on top of it, even with the uncertainty, and gives us a chance to comment on it.
When I get up on these mornings, I kind of look up to the heavens and I look up and I say to Norma, well, Norma, it looks like we're going to keep that promise to you. That we would work to see this overturned for you and Sandra. And so because we knew them personally, I knew those ladies, went to their graves wanting to see this sad decision overturned that carries their names. And so I think they're smiling down from heaven at us right now and saying, you go, team, go, because finally they can rest in peace. Once this happens, they can feel the scourge can be lifted. And now, the battle will continue in the states and in the federal Congress too.
It will. Yes, the Congress has a role.
First decision's coming out now, Father. What is it?
Yes, Becerra.
The Empire Health.
By Kagan. Okay, it's a 5-4 decision. All right, so it's not one of the key ones that we've been watching.
We have
have another. Yeah, there'll be another one. We have another 10 minutes before the next one.
Right.
So yes, so Janet, as you're saying, these key players we knew personally. And Norma McCorvey, the Jane Roe of Roe v. Wade, Sandra Cano, the Doe of Dovey Bolton, which is not getting talked about too much, but that's the companion of Roe. If Roe goes, Doe goes as well. And they wanted. In fact, they officially petitioned the court. They worked personally through education and prayer to get these decisions reversed, but they also formally petitioned the court to reconsider these cases. The court didn't want to do so at that time, but they would have been just, there's no words to describe how intensely focused on this they would be.
I find it so ironic that the court would not grant these two petitioners certiorari. And in fact, for the two decisions, neither one of these ladies spent one day in court.
No, I was just explaining together with Tom Glessner here a few moments ago that there was no record in Roe v. Wade. I mean, usually a court case comes before a court. There's a record, there's documentation, there's facts. Roe just had, some affidavits, and that's it. And no appellate review either. It was done so poorly. It skipped right from the district court to the Supreme Court. And in the oral arguments, this is something I didn't even say when we were talking with Tom a moment ago. You would think if you're going to, take away state laws that prevent a particular procedure that you consider a medical procedure, that part of the discussion going into that decision would be, what are the health consequences of this? What are the implications for the health of women if you allow abortion throughout pregnancy? Do you know, I want to ask our listeners and viewers to consider this. Ask yourself this question. How many hours of argument, in fact, let's put it in minutes. How many minutes of discussion do you think there were in the oral arguments, putting both oral arguments together because it was argued twice, about the health impact on women across our country of legalizing abortion? The health impact of how much discussion was there about that? You know what the answer is? I'll give everybody a chance to think about what
Zero,
the answer
Father, right?
Believe it or not, zero.
Yeah. Zero.
This isn't that by itself should be a total outrage. That by itself should conjure in our minds words like stupid and moronic and idiotic. How do you pass a decision that literally wipes out laws in 50 states and allows a medical procedure when you didn't take 1 minute to talk about the health consequences of legalizing that procedure? How stupid can you be?
Right.
I don't know how much more stupid you could be. I really don't.
Well, like we said, neither plaintiff spent one day in court. That also was very, very unusual. And when you think of the irony, Father, both of these women were taken advantage of. Sandra herself thought she was signing papers to get her children back out of foster care. She didn't even want an abortion. She had no desire for an abortion. And in fact, she had to flee Georgia and went to Oklahoma to other relatives to escape the pressure that was being put to bear on her. And they lied in the documentation. They said that she was refused an abortion in an Atlanta hospital, was so untrue. So both Norma and Sandra were taken advantage of, and the cases were built on lies because of the people like Dr. Bernard Nathanson, Larry Lader, and they also brought in Betty Friedan and the National Organization for Women. They had an agenda to take abort. You know what they said, Father? I remember seeing these quotes. Well, if we keep going state by state, this will take forever, because at that point, abortion was legal in New York, California, Hawaii. There was about 6 or 7 states. And they were scratching their heads saying, we'll never get all the 50 states at this point. We've got to do it in a big way. And that's when they sought out these women, these cases, and there you go. So it was all built, pillar of lies, right?
There's another interesting little fact here too about the Roe case. Did you realize the justices, when they were considering whether to take Roe v. Wade in the first place, and as Tom was explaining earlier, there's a very, very small number of cases the Supreme Court can actually take. Most federal cases are decided at the appellate level or even the district court level. All right, and but when the justices were considering taking Roe, there was a misunderstanding among them about what the case was about. They thought, many of them thought, and we have the paperwork, the paper trail to back this up. Many of them thought that this case was purely jurisdictional, that the question was not, do women have a constitutional right to an abortion, but that the question was, may the federal courts intervene in a state criminal court case. That was what they thought the question was. And so that's why a lot of the argumentation in these cases had to do with procedural issues rather than substantive issues. The dispute that has erupted, dividing our nation and dividing the people in front of the court that we just saw on these videos, which is symbolic of what goes on in every community in our country about abortion, is a division over a substantive question, a very substantive question. Is there such a thing as a right to an abortion? But the justices, here they are taking this case, not even realizing what it is that they're going to be debating. So that's one of the reasons they weren't properly prepared to ask the kind of questions that should have been asked. Now, Janet, you also mentioned Larry Lader. Larry Lader was a freelance journalist. And yet this guy was quoted 8 times in Roe v. Wade by Justice Blackmun and used as a medical expert. The guy was no medical expert. He was a freelance journalist. And then the science of Roe v. Wade is garbage. Okay. He doesn't even consider the evidence, the medical citations he makes were medieval and ancient. And he doesn't even consider anything beyond the point where the sperm and the ovum were even discovered yet in medical science. He just, in the Roe v. Wade, ignored, and people need to understand this, hundreds of years of scientific development, ignored it as if it weren't even there. Okay, so we have less than a minute till the next decision comes out here, Janet, from the SCOTUS blog.
And then also, too, Father, remind everyone, when Dr. Bernard Nathanson, of course, became pro-life, he said, him and Larry, when it came to kind of show women are dying in illegal back alley abortions, they made the number 10,000 up out of thin air.
Out of thin air, and put those two facts together. Nathanson saying he and Lader made up the statistics about the medical impact, and then Blackmun quotes Lader 8 times in the decision. Does this make any sense to anybody?
Well, and then another fact, Father, is 2 of the justices should have recused themselves because one of them, their wife, volunteered at Planned Parenthood, and another one had her daughter volunteered at a Planned Parenthood. So right there was an agenda.
Well, and that reminds us, people should really go back and look again. RoeVWadeMovie.com. The Roe v. Wade movie that our friend put together, Nick Loeb, is a good moment to go back and rewatch that.
We got it. We got Dobbs.
No,
we got Dobbs. We got Dobbs. We got Dobbs.
Are you sure?
We got Dobbs. Yes, right here. Dobbs v. Jackson. We got Dobbs.
Dobbs.
We got Dobbs. It
We
just got handed
have
down.
Dobbs. Oh my goodness. All right.
Okay, let's read.
Held. The Constitution does not confer a right to abortion.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Roe and Casey are overruled.
Roe is overturned!
The authority to regulate abortion.
Oh my God!
Yes!
Oh, praise you, Jesus!
The authority to regulate abortion is returned to the people.
Oh my God!
The people and their elected representatives.
Thank you,
Roberts concurs in
yes,
the
6-3. We won. Woo! Praise you.
Oh my gosh.
Let's pray right now.
Lord, thank you, because at this moment you have answered the prayers, the sacrifices, the work of pro-life people for 5 decades. Lord God, all their prayers, and so many who have passed on before us, Norma McCorvey and Sandra Cano and Bernard Nathanson and Nellie Gray and Jack Wilkie and so many other people, Mildred Jefferson, and Lord, so many countless people whose names we know, whose names we don't know, who have labored for this day, who have worked for this moment, who have prayed for this outcome, who have dreamt about it, who have wondered, how will this happen? Now, Lord, we see your faithfulness. We see your faithfulness at this moment. We see the answer. And Lord, thank you. We just thank you and we praise you. Janet, what do you think?
Larry.
Oh, I'm like, as they say in Yiddish, verklempt, crying.
Oh my God.
Here. Over 30 years of my life, I've worked for this moment. And I just remember, Father, before Norma passed us on the phone, talking to her and promising her we would work to see this happen. And Norma, we did it. We did it. Everyone did it. The entire pro-life movement did it. I always used to say, everyone used to argue about what case would do it. And I used to say, get out of the way. God knows what case will do it.
Larry, get in here. Larry, get over here. Get behind us. Get behind us, Larry.
Oh boy. Am I on, or is the
Then moments later, a decision to be dropped? But let's listen.
Look at that celebration.
We will abolish abortion. We are the post-row generation.
Post-row.
Abolish abortion.
Yeah. Oh God.
Everyone, we need a moment of silence.
If you're just now joining us, we are live. Let's listen in.
Are you getting the decision? Leslie, are we getting the decision? The decision, are we getting it?
Yeah, you know what, Janet? Let's do this. Why don't we let's start reading the decision. Let's put the decision up on the put the decision up on the
Well,
screen.
first of all, it was what? Did we get everyone? It was 6-3?
Yes, 6-3. Yes.
Okay. And of course, Alito is the author. And of course, what we'll have to see right now, line by line, what else got added.
We're gonna look at this. Yeah, exactly.
Were there concurrences?
Yes. Well, let me see if let's read this right now. All right, go to it there right after they announce it. You have the link there. Alito delivered the opinion. Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett joined. Thomas and Kavanaugh filed a concurring opinion. Filed concurring opinions. Roberts filed an opinion, also concurring in the judgment, and then Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan filed a dissenting opinion.
Who wrote the dissenting opinion? Or they just
the dissenting opinion was from the three. Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan.
Okay, all right.
All right. So let's see here. Let me. Okay. Do we have?
How many pages?
Let's get it up on the screen. I have it here on
my
my laptop.
200. The leaked opinion was 90 some odd pages. This is 213 pages. It's considerably longer.
This is very long.
Let's get it up on the screen.
Yeah.
This is very
So
long.
for all those who wanted to know why they were waiting, they were finishing writing the opinion.
Yeah, a very
know?
long opinion. Yeah.
It's more than double. So we're gonna
Okay,
be studying.
let me start reading some of this.
Hey, I'm
Let's start reading.
Read the summary. Read the summary.
This is the greatest moment of my life.
All right. The critical question
I'll call you.
is whether the Constitution, properly understood, confers a right to an abortion. Casey's controlling opinion skipped over that question and reaffirmed Roe solely on the basis of stare decisis. A proper application of stare decisis, however, requires an assessment of the strength and the grounds on which Roe was based. The court therefore turns to the question that the Casey plurality did not consider. And I'm there on the paragraph I'm reading is right beyond that section that says held, right there, about 2/3 down the page. First, the court reviews the standard that the court's cases have used to determine whether the 14th Amendment's reference to liberty protects a particular right. The Constitution makes no express reference to a right to obtain an abortion, but several constitutional provisions have been offered as potential homes for an implicit constitutional right. Roe held that the abortion right is part of a right to privacy that springs from the First, Fourth, Fifth, Ninth, and 14th Amendments. Casey grounded its decision solely on the theory that the right to abortion is part of the liberty protected by the 14th Amendment's due process clause. Others have suggested support is in the 14th Amendment's equal protection clause. And then they reject all these arguments. So, Janet, let's explain this for people for a moment. The decision that the court is issuing today wasn't even addressed in Casey. We always say Casey reaffirmed Roe, but they reaffirmed Roe kind of from at arm's distance, and they changed a lot of it. They took away the trimester framework. They changed the rationale for whether abortion is a constitutional right. They changed the standard of review. They changed a lot of things about Roe, and they didn't address head on this number one most basic question that this decision deals with. Is there a constitutional right to an abortion? And so this court is saying, look, how do they try to justify it? So one of the main ways is, the 14th Amendment. One cannot be deprived of life or liberty or property without due process of law. It's ironic that they try to say under liberty that you can kill a baby, but they forget about the part that says life, right? So what they're saying is that you can't look at the 14th Amendment and say there's a right to an abortion. Because even at the time, one of the arguments is, even at the time that the 14th Amendment was adopted, most of the states outlawed abortion, right? Jana, you had done the research too for your recent book. They outlawed. How could the state be outlawing abortion and affirming an amendment that holds a right to abortion at the same time, and then not even talk about that at all? Somehow, we have to wait till 1973 to discover this right to abortion. The court is saying here today, it's not there.
Well, I tell you, Father, it's I'm just still sitting here in awe of the whole thing, the moment. I mean, I don't know. We used to say, Father, remember that we were going to see an end to abortion in our lifetime. And
yes,
but I was wondering, I'm going to be 70 this year. I'm like, am I going to make it? But this is the start of the end. And our job is not done. So everybody, what we have to do today is we celebrate.
Let's celebrate.
We celebrate. This is a milestone victory, but we get ready to roll up our sleeves and continue the work, because we will not stop till every baby's protected and every woman protected, because we know, because of Silent No More and Rachel's Vineyard, which is the largest abortion recovery program in the entire world, the damage abortion is doing to women. So we're not going to rest. And guess what? Women are still dying from this legal abortion. So it's a milestone victory. Praise God that the states can now regulate abortion themselves, the will of the people. And I can't wait to see what Governor DeSantis is going to do now here in Florida. Woohoo!
That's right. That's right.
Let's go, DeSantis. But this is going to be an exciting time. And now, brothers and sisters, you have to have these conversations in your hometowns, in your families. This is the time of converting people with scientific facts. So like I'm so excited, Father. So excited.
Janet, you know how people told me I was crazy when I had that shirt that says I survived Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade will not survive me. People told me, no, not gonna happen, not gonna happen. That shirt just came true today, Janet. Roe versus Wade did not survive.
Well, now we have to have a new shirt, Brian, that says, "We survived Roe, and we will see abortion go."
Yep, we got it. And my shirt that says, "I am the generation that will abolish abortion." Absolutely, Janet. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to work for this organization. We have been doing this. You and I have been friends for so many years.
I know, Brian. Don't start crying, because I'm going to cry. You know,
I'm just saying, this is what I've dedicated when I gave my life to Christ, and I heard that song, "The Silent Scream," and I knew that was God's call to my life.
Right.
This is what I've dedicated my life to, and other than finding Jesus, this is the greatest moment.
Well, and for those in the Catholic world, Father, let's not remind everyone that this is the feast of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. What a
day!
What a day, right? For Roe to be overturned, because we've always said it's the Sacred Heart of Jesus that extends that mercy to anyone who's had an abortion. And so on the day of the Sacred Heart, the mercy of Jesus, we see the overturning of Roe.
I'm going to start making some posts.
It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing. We have Tom Glessner here. Tom, come on around to this chair here. Tom, as was saying before, has been in this movement for decades and is an attorney and head of NIFLA, the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates network of pregnancy centers across the nation. Tom, give us your thoughts. I'm just going to step off here for 1 second.
Excuse my emotions. It's very, very hard. I have worked for this day my whole professional life. We've established a network of pro-life pregnancy centers of 1,600 nationwide. They're up to the task. I do want to ask people now, tonight is a designated night of rage that the other side has declared, and violence and destruction of property are undoubtedly going to happen.
Okay, so
we have prepared our centers for that. Hopefully they put in the security measures that we've asked them to do. But I don't want to take away right now from this moment. This moment, it's unspeakable what I'm feeling. Roe versus Wade was not only wrongly decided, it was an atrocity in the legal field. It disgraced the Supreme Court, but they've corrected it. It disgraced the Supreme Court in the same way that Plessy versus Ferguson did. It disgraced the Supreme Court in the same way that the Dred Scott decision did. It's now been corrected. Where are we right now? I think the best analogy is this. We are now on Normandy Beach. We've established a beachhead. When we invaded France and established a beachhead, we did not win the war, but we established the beachhead and moved forward, taking town by town, county by county, city by city. That's where we are. We've established a beachhead. Now the real war begins, I believe, on the local level. But I just don't want to take away from the joy of this moment.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just feeling, Janet, I remember I was a junior in college, January 22nd, 1973, and I remember when the decision came down. And then we started a crisis pregnancy center in the early 80s, and on $30,000 a year. And now there are 3,000 of them across the nation, and over 1,600 are medical. We are just in position now to take the land. We're going to move out from the beach. We're going to take city by city, town by town. That's where we're going to go. So everybody, please, listening to me, tonight is the night of rage. There's going to be violence and picketing all over the country from the other side. Let's immediately go to our pregnancy centers, make sure the local law enforcement are there, security detail are there. Make sure everything's in place. NIFLA has issued bulletins on this. So I want to emphasize this. We're celebrating now, but tonight is a night of rage.
And Tom, I want to remind everyone, if you don't know where your nearest pregnancy center is, go to pregnancycenters.org. You can put in your zip code and you will see where the pregnancy centers are in your hometown. And what Tom is asking you to do today, right now, during the day, go there, see what help they need, volunteer at your pregnancy center. And if they haven't engaged their local police department, please do so immediately so that they have extra patrols going around those pregnancy centers tonight. In fact, here in Titusville, we have already ahead of this communicated with our local police, and they're sending currently now a police car outside our Priest for Life headquarters and over to our pregnancy center here in Titusville. So the authorities want to cooperate. They want to make sure there is peace tonight and that there's no damage to these wonderful pregnancy centers that give real help and choice to women. So we can all be a part of helping pregnancy centers. So go to pregnancycenters.org, put in your zip code, see where your neighborhood pregnancy center is, get down there today, see what you can do to help, because we're all in this together, right, Tom?
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that here we're now in post row, post-obs, post-row. Every community in the nation is impacted by this, and every community in the nation has a pregnancy center that's going to be pro-life central now, if it isn't already. In the red states, they're going to be strengthened. In the blue states, they're going to be attacked. California, New York, Illinois, Vermont, Massachusetts, those states, these centers are going to be really under attack. Please commit yourself right now. Please commit yourself to supporting them. Janet, I see there's some report coming from outside the court. I don't know if you want to go to that or.
Yeah, let's just go for a minute. Let's go see what's going on outside the court.
They've worked and worked and worked. This is your moment, ladies. This is happening.
Hi, everybody. Tremendous victory.
I'm so grateful to stand here and enjoy this moment. Thank you for everyone who made this possible. And so finally, I want to pass the microphone. We have here in the audience our Young Women for America.
If you're just now joining us, we are live in front of the Supreme Court, post Roe v. Wade overturning. Let's listen in.
Non-stop, and our leader for Young Women for America is all about leverage. So all about my entire life, I have always said when talking about this issue that I have never known what it's like to live in a country without Roe. Today, that ends. A lot of the women behind me, we have never experienced this moment. And so again, I just want to echo what Penny said and thank every single Young Women for America we know. And for everyone who says that there is not an ethical life among the young women in this country, you are living with a blindfold on. I work with them, I meet them across the country every single day, and the respect for the sanctity of life is only growing and growing. And ladies, our work is just getting started.
All right, Father. Well, here we are.
Wow. I'm here at this convention, with all these pro-life activists and leaders, and they're just cheering in the hallways and hugging one another. And Janet, you and I want to make some formal comments here now. We're looking at this decision. It's very, very, from what I see so far, it's very, very substantially the same. The flow of arguments is the same as what we saw in the draft opinion by Justice Alito, which means it's very, very strong on the history that there was never a constitutional right identified in the Constitution or in our history of interpreting law, and that it has done profound damage, that it has infected other areas of the law. And let's just go full screen here, Janet, me and you, and Tom is here with us, and let's take a step back, and we want to provide some more formal reaction here now. in regard to how we got here, what this decision means, and where we are going from here. The court has indicated that, you know, you don't just say that a decision, because it's been in effect for like Roe now almost 50 years, that just because it's been in effect a long time, it has to stay in effect. What this is saying is that it was wrong from the beginning, and therefore we should not perpetuate an error. Furthermore, it says that it's not what Roe and Casey laid out was, Janet, as you know, a standard for the courts to evaluate the laws that were being passed about abortion, whether by the Congress or by the states. They set out a standard. Well, and Tom, you can comment on this as we go along here. The standard was not workable for all these 50 years. It was changing all the time. It was confusing. And the justices themselves on the Supreme Court and in other courts disagreed as to what it meant. What is this standard? You know, at first they were giving it the highest standard, like if you would protect freedom of speech or freedom of religion, you have to protect the right to abortion. Then they came down from that when they came to Planned Parenthood versus Casey in 1992. Like I said before, that reaffirmed Roe, but it did it at sort of an arm's distance because it didn't like Roe. It said, the reasoning here, we're not going to even reaffirm the reasoning, and they changed the reasoning. And they said, we're going to, I don't know about privacy, but this is more of a liberty interest, and we're going to put the undue burden standard. So a state could pass a regulation on abortion, but not if it placed a substantial obstacle in the way of a person getting an abortion. Well, what does that mean? What is undue? What is substantial? Janet, if I say something is substantial, you might say, no, that's not substantial at all, right? Right, Tom? Lawyers and attorneys, they'll disagree among themselves because there's no standard, there's no definition of what that means. This is one of the reasons Justice Alito is giving here for getting rid of Roe and Casey. He says we have no standard to judge whether an abortion law is going to work. You want to comment on that from the attorney's perspective?
Well, sure. Actually, we do have a standard, and we're a ways away from it, but we're going to work towards it. That standard is personhood. Our Constitution, the 14th Amendment, says no state shall deny to any person life without due process of law. Now, I don't think politically we're close to that yet, but we've opened the door. The analogy I like to use here is we've established a beachhead on Omaha Beach and Normandy Beach. We're going to move forward. We want to protect all human life. This opens a door. This is a major victory. So that is the one standard we can grab onto, personhood. And in 1857, the American Medical Association came out with a very famous medical report that says we now know under the science of medicine that human life begins at conception. From 1857 to 1874, the states passed pro-life legislation protecting the unborn from abortion because of that American Medical Association report. And it was those laws that were passed during the same time the 14th Amendment was passed, which said no state shall deny to any person life without due process of law. The most ironic thing in the world is in 1973, the court ignored that history totally, and then they said that these abortion laws passed during that time period when we all recognized life begins at conception are unconstitutional. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So we've corrected a huge mistake. We do have a standard of personhood. We're going to have to fight for that. But you're absolutely right, Father.
Yeah.
As far as a legal standard in judging whether a law is constitutional or not, there is no legal standard.
Well, and what this decision has done here at Tom is returned this to rational basis review.
Yeah.
Friends, this is exactly what we wanted because we were wondering, is the Supreme Court going to keep the undue burden standard somehow and somehow twist it to say, well, it can allow Mississippi's law, or are they going to create a new standard? They didn't create a new standard. That's the good news. The court got out of the abortion business today. It got out of it.
Well, I think, Father and Tom, the important thing is that the decision was 6-3. So even Roberts, the Chief Justice, concurred. That was important.
Great.
because there was all this scuttlebutt going on, even the past few days in the media, that, well, Roberts might just vote to overhold Mississippi and not overturn Roe. But no,
Yeah.
we got the whole enchilada. We got 6-3.
We do.
So that means they all agreed, all 6 conservative justices, brothers and sisters. That is a huge, huge victory. And I want to announce right now that, brothers and sisters, all next week, Father Frank and I are going to have special programming on this channel, because we're going to unpack this decision. We're going to
line by line
for you. We're going to give you talking points, because what's going to happen right now, Father, we are off to the races. There's going to be so much discussion and bad facts spewed out there. We're going to, all next week on our channel here, we're going to dice it out for you, brothers and sisters, give you clear talking points. We're going to do classes on this document. It's almost 200 pages. We will spend the weekend and every night delving in. The next day, we're going to give another class and another class, because the other side is just going to come out with political rhetoric, their phrases, but we're going to give you true understanding, so that you can then teach your circle of influence. Because believe you me, this is now going to be an election issue for the midterms. And we have got to, on the federal level, we've got to take back that House. We've got to increase the Senate. But the other side, trust me, they've got the bills ready to try to enshrine abortion federally. And in all the states, we've got to increase our pro-life people at the state level, so that more laws like Mississippi, more heartbeat laws. There's 13 states already right now are celebrating, because they have trigger laws, Father, that they're
the trigger laws are triggering. The trigger laws are right. I mean, I don't know how
are happening right now. Right.
And so right now, this very moment, those states that have trigger laws, abortion, I'd have to read the exact law, but some of them trigger back to what the law was prior to 73. And the bingo, that means no abortions.
Well, let's get a constitutional issue clear here. This decision has just been issued. This doesn't have like, this will go into effect next week or next month. This is immediate. This is immediate. When a Supreme Court decision like this comes out. So unlike some laws, that are passed and it's, this will go into effect a month from now or 6 months from now. This is immediate. And now the state legislatures, again, like you said, according to their state laws, can take measures according to what that law says. If that law says the moment Roe v. Wade is reversed, this goes into effect, well, then it's in effect. If it says the legislature must meet and, draw up some document or whatever. So
all right, guys, I have here the list, okay? Here's the 13 states that have trigger laws. So Yahoo, right now, abortion is outlawed in these states: Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming. Praise the Lord.
Praise the living God. And let me, Janet, read a quote from the decision here itself that sums up what we're saying here. Under the court's precedents, rational basis review is the appropriate standard to apply when state abortion regulations undergo constitutional challenge. So if the other side now wants to challenge any of these laws, Janet, the court, here's the point. The court, it can no longer needs to say, up to now, even if a judge was pro-life and abortion law was challenged in a court, that judge would have to apply Roe v. Wade. Right, Tom? It's vertical. Right. It's called vertical precedent. You got to take what the higher court said about the same issue that you're dealing with. They don't have to do that anymore because Roe is gone. What this does now is it gives the judge the ability to determine, and Tom, maybe you're going to explain this more to us, what a rational basis is. Let me read a little bit more from the decision. Given that the procuring an abortion is not a fundamental constitutional right, is not, it follows that the states may regulate abortion for legitimate reasons. And when such regulations are challenged under the Constitution, courts cannot substitute their economic and social beliefs for the judgment of legislative bodies. It's putting the power back to the people. and their elected representatives.
The rational basis test, if I can put it in a civil context. So
Yeah.
you understand in tort, somebody's sued for assault and battery in tort. The jury is to go back and they use a reasonable man's standard to determine if there was a violation of the law at all. A reasonable man is simply a reasonable person. That's a rational basis thing. The rational basis test simply means that if there's any rational basis at all, any reasonable reason for this law, it has to be upheld. And a judge cannot substitute his or her own political biases. Now, I'm going to predict we're going to find some judges that will say this law is not rational, and it'll have to go up to the appellate level. We are going to find some judges that will do that in blue states. They'll say there's no rational basis for this, therefore we're going to throw it out. But with this standard, those will all be overturned.
And then also, too, Father and Tom, currently all over the country, both at the federal and appellate level, there were all kinds of other abortion cases that have been hanging in the balance, right? They weren't going to give a decision on those because they were waiting for this. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's several things going on here, and to be honest, I'm so emotionally tied onto this one. I'd have to think back a little bit to discuss them specifically. But you know what's interesting is, as I recall, Alabama passed a law, and it's working through the courts, but it's gone now, a law that banned all abortions.
Right.
And, it's gone. Texas heartbeat law is now valid. You can go to all these heartbeat bills now. They are all valid. Essentially, now we've got to fight in all the states. We've got to keep those laws in place, and we got to go into the blue states and start. Even in blue states, you will have people in blue states that want far more restrictions on abortion than what those blue states are doing. So even in blue states, we're going to see some movement in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a list here, gentlemen, of other states who have what you're saying, Tom, laws that they were passing, waiting for this decision. And for example, just the other day, Alabama passed a law saying the unborn child is a person, deserves protection. But here are the states.
Can I jump in on that, Janet, for a minute? One of the most atrocious things about the Roe decision was a denial of personhood to the unborn. So we did what we did in Dred Scott. We said there's a class of human beings that are not persons. They're property, just like the slave was property in the slavery days. Now, Roe is gone. That language on personhood is gone. And now we can establish personhood. It's going to have to be state by state. But now personhood is back on the table because Roe is gone. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to point that out.
No, that's okay. So here's states of encouragement who are likely to ban abortion. Alabama is listed, Arizona, Georgia, Indiana. Now, Michigan, we got a real battle going on in Michigan because right now it flips back to their law before Roe, which means abortion will be illegal in Michigan. But the pro-aborts have a ballot initiative happening in Michigan where they're trying to enshrine abortion in the Constitution. So if you're in Michigan, boy, you better get involved immediately to protect unborn life in Michigan. But then also banning abortion will be Nebraska, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. They're all poised in their process right now to ban abortion in those states also. So that's more than half of the states already going to say no more abortion in our state. The number of states, who have enshrined it to birth are less than 10. And that's like what you're saying, Tom. We got to get into those blue states too and change who's in those state legislatures so we can protect the unborn children. And I always say abortion, always bad for the baby, but always bad both for the mom and the dad too, because we know the physical and psychological fallout from abortion.
I hope we can reinstate the almost gone concept of a pro-life liberal. It used to be that liberals would reluctantly endorse, well, this is Roe v. Wade, it's in our platform, but they hate abortion. It used to be that way. Now, those people need to step up and speak out. I know plenty of so-called liberals who absolutely hate abortion and would not oppose pro-life laws. And so we need to look at those people as potential allies in our battle in every state. We got to increase our troops and fight at the state legislative level. And those people can be very helpful if we can bring them into our side on this. We don't need to argue about other issues we disagree on, but we need to argue on this one.
I just got a text message. I think it's kind of poignant to tell you right now from one of my Silent No More regional coordinators. She said her name is in her church bulletin and has been. If you heard from abortion, need help, contact us. We'll get you on Rachel's Vineyard. She just got a text call and a call from a woman 74 years old because she just heard this decision. She said, I can't live with this any longer. I had an abortion many years ago. I want healing. Please help me. Is that amazing? Amazing. So, people are going to be impacted. And so, brothers and sisters, if you know someone who's hurt from an abortion and they're looking for healing, go to abortionforgiveness.com. Put in your zip code. You'll see where the nearest Rachel's Vineyard Retreat program and other healing resources, because here in the pro-life movement, we don't condemn anyone who has had an abortion. We understand. We're here for you. We're on your side. And the healing is available. Right, Father?
Oh, this is a moment for healing. This is a moment of repentance by the whole country. The court is saying to us this morning,
yes,
we were wrong. We were wrong for 50 years. We were using the wrong standard on abortion. We were wrongly asserting that our history supported abortion. We were wrong because damage was inflicted on not only on the people who were killed by abortion, who had abortions. Damage was inflicted on our whole judicial process because we had a confusing standard, an ever-shifting standard on abortion. They're not putting it in spiritual terms. They're acknowledging that it's a profound moral issue. But spiritually, looking at what's happening here, it's a metanoia, as we say in Christian theology, a turning of the mind.
Right.
That, hey, what I was thinking before was wrong, and we've got to chart a new course now. So, and that healing extends, of course, those that you and I and so many of us minister to every day who have had abortions. I think that what has just happened is going to have a consoling effect on the hearts of so many who know firsthand the pain of abortion. You know why it's going to console them? Because they're going to know in their own mind and heart, wow, so many people are going to be spared the pain that I have had to live in. Right, Janet?
Right. Yeah. And, Father, I'd like to speak for a moment and reach out to the grandmoms out there, the grandparents, because of Roe, and I've been talking to a lot of the women from Silent No More who said, my mom made me have an abortion when I was in high school, and she would have never have done it if it wasn't legal. And so I think right now we have to reach out now to the grandmas. If your heart is bothering you right now because of this decision overturned, and you're thinking now, oh my God, what did I do? What happened? We want you to know it's not your fault, because legality gave permission. So you were doing what was best for your daughter. And now it wasn't the best thing for her. So we want you to go to healing too. So again, abortionforgiveness.com. And guess what now? I got some of our Priest for Life staff. They want to come in. Let's back up the camera. We have to have some celebration here at headquarters. Yay! Come on, Mark. Come in.
Hey, where's the rest of them?
Come on, get the rest of them in.
We got most of our staff actually at other locations around the country, but we got some at the main office.
There's Mark. Mark is part of our IT department. And Father, I know we're getting attacked over the internet, but Mark is holding the fort here.
Hey, listen. Okay. That's right. We're prepared.
And here we have. Here's Judy, and Judy enters all the data. If you place orders or send us information, Judy gets your data in. And we have here Michael. Michael helps us all get to where you are. We come to conferences, and Michael handles all our travel arrangements. Come on, everybody. Come on in. Don't be shy. Come on, Erin. Come on, Kim. Oh, my goodness. We got more staff here, but some of them are being shy. Here's our newest employee. She Kim, she came at the crazy time now. And come on, Erin.
Aaron, our political outreach associate.
So now, brothers and sisters, you may know what you want to do. What you want to do is join our election team now. So, Erin, tell them how they can join your team.
I don't know how to at this time, but prolifevolunteer.com.
Okay, prolifevolunteer.com. Join our election team because, brothers and sisters, we are on the move. We are
on the
going to
move.
rid our country of abortion. This is just the beginning, milestone victory, but you watch out. We're on our way.
Hallelujah.
Janet. Hey, Janet. The most amazing thing, all the years of those pro-life interns that travel, my phone is going nuts from all these kids that are saying, Brian, thank you for getting me involved in this movement. I'm not taking any credit. It's all the Lord. But, oh, my God, everyone in the office, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh,
I know. My phone is blowing up with women from Silent No More in tears right now of joy. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. You know, this is amazing. Amazing. All right, guys. All right.
We're going to have somebody very special here pretty soon, aren't we, Janet?
Yeah. We are.
I was just texting with her. The woman who is the principal author of the Gestational Age Act in Mississippi, whom we honored in January, Representative Becky Curry. It looks like she's going to be able to connect with us here on our program in a few minutes. Boy, isn't that going to be special?
That's going to be very special because, you know, she was part of the people that got the ball rolling to where we are today. So that will be exciting to hear her reaction and to hear from her. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm getting messages here, too, from media people thanking us, Janet, thanking Priests for Life for helping to make this day possible.
Yeah, and I want to thank all our Priests for Life family of donors. This victory is also yours. You've helped us do this work for the past few decades, and we couldn't have done it without you. And, of course, we're going to count on you to continue helping us because this is a celebration, but the work will go forward from here.
Well, the reason, and Janet, the reason the work goes forward is, again, let me read directly from this opinion here, just going through it here. It's very, very much exactly what Justice Alito said in that leaked draft. Abortion presents, again, I'm quoting now from this opinion, which is now official. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey abrogated that authority. The court overrules those decisions and returns that authority to the people and their elected representatives. So that's why the work continues, Janet, because the authority now, in fact, you could say the work increases precisely because we have more authority now to protect the unborn. And what that means is that our responsibility increases. If we were responsible before, we're more responsible now. If the legislators were responsible before, but a lot of them hid behind the court, but they also faced a real obstacle. They faced a real obstacle that the court was only allowing them to go so far. But now they have the authority to actually protect these children. So the work indeed not only continues, but enters a whole new phase. So Janet, what do you? We have Tom back here now. Yeah, it was just. It's just is unbelievable.
My phone's going crazy.
It's going crazy.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I missed part of what you said, Father, but I agree with
Father
I
Frank.
don't remember you and I ever disagreed.
Yeah, we have a pro-life leader joining us right now. If you can listen for a minute. All right.
Yes.
Who do we have, Rob? Dorothy Wallace from Louisiana.
Yes.
Dorothy?
I am here.
Dorothy, hi, this is Tom Glessner. How are you?
Oh, there she is.
Hey,
There
Dorothy.
she is. So Dorothy, tilt your, that's a girl. Okay, so Dorothy, you're there in Louisiana. Louisiana, you were one of the early states to have a trigger law. So right now, abortion is illegal in Louisiana, correct?
It is. It is in Louisiana. Absolutely. It is fantastic to know that we, after 50 years of...
Can't hear you, Dorothy.
Hear me? Huh.
Yeah.
Turn it up better.
Yeah.
All right, talk louder.
Say again.
All right, talk louder.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead.
We're ecstatic over here in Louisiana, and after all these 50 years of praying and believing that this will be reversed, amazing just to see what's happening here. Certainly know our battle is going to be on the abortion pill. It's kind of like hard to celebrate. We know we got to go back into battle. I just want Janet and Father now here in Louisiana. This is fantastic, and many other states to follow.
Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. Well, I hope too you get extra protection for the pregnancy centers down there, because we know the other side, they're not going to sit quiet. And we have to allow our pregnancy centers to keep doing the good work they're doing to give women real choice, right? So thank you. Thank you, Dorothy, for joining us. God bless you. Give our love to all our friends in Louisiana, okay?
That sounds great. Thanks, and God bless.
Okay, thank you. All right. Bye-bye. What do we have now?
One another, and this is unbelievable. Okay, Barbara is joining us here from Church Militant. I see this in the chat, and wants to ask us a couple of questions. Barbara, please go ahead. We can see your questions in the chat. And meanwhile, are we connecting with someone else here, Janet?
We're waiting for another person, but Barbara,
Okay.
we're waiting for you. Where's
All
Barbara?
right, we'll answer her questions when we get them. And like I said, we are in touch with Betty Curry, representative from Mississippi, who authored the Gestational Age Act, and we're privileged to have her coming on.
Joining us in about less than 5 minutes. We're waiting for her.
This is going to be, I'm very excited about that. In fact, she texted me, Janet, on the day that the leak came out and said, we did it. You know, because it was pretty clear that this was going to be the way, obviously, that the court was going. And you know, we're vindicated today too, Janet, because I have been saying from the beginning, look, once that draft came out, there's a reason the draft came out. There's a reason it was linked, because the justices were not changing their minds. You can be sure they experienced deep and intense and sustained pressure to change their minds behind the scenes, but it's because that didn't work that somebody felt it was necessary to leak the draft to try to create public pressure. But you know, you do something like that, and that's not going to work either, because then if they had, you know, first of all, I don't think a single one of those that are in the majority here today had any doubt about their decision. But even if they did, you know, if you reply to public pressure, you reward that public pressure, you have completely destroyed the authority of the court. You've completely destroyed it, because every case then going forward, people say, oh, well, all we have to do is start a riot, you know, and we'll get the court to change its
well, and Father, in the Alito leaked draft, which I'm sure it's still there in the final decision, the closing paragraph, he addressed this question, didn't he? He said,
yes.
We will not be pressured. We will decide based on the Constitution our decisions. We will not be pressured, right?
Yeah, and the way he said it was beautiful. He said, we don't know what the public reaction is going to be to this, but no matter what it is, we have no authority to change our decision based on public pressure. We have no authority. Our authority stops at the line of the Constitution. We've got to do what the Constitution requires, full stop, period, amen. And today, that's what they did. I'm thankful for Barbara and other media who are joining us. And Barbara said, Father, just say something to our viewers, our friends at Church Militant. You know, this is an historic day. This is a day to go down in history, like when the Supreme Court, 58 years, now it hasn't been 58, it's been 49, but 58 years after Plessy versus Ferguson, the court reversed itself about separate but equal discrimination and issued Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. I have been saying for decades, when people have expressed impatience, oh, how long is it going to take to reverse Roe, I said, listen, we are well within the historical time frame for reversing a decision like this. You know, Brown versus Board of Education took 58 years. We're barely at 50. So praise God. It does happen. It takes decades sometimes, but it does happen. And it has happened today. And this is the day that, you know, all of you who are watching are going to be able to talk to your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, if you have them, and tell them what happened on this day and what the significance of it was.
Well, and for Church Militant, maybe they want to also say something to all the bishops and clergy in our nation who have been silent on abortion. Oh, it's a political, oh, we shouldn't talk from the pulpit, like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yes, you should have been talking. It's a human rights issue. And maybe now you'll have a little courage, you know, to maybe have some courage, clergy, to open your mouths, to speak the truth of the gospel of life. Maybe.
Hey, Janet.
What?
There's some high-fiving going on right now.
Yeah, high five. We were with you all along.
But you know what? You know what's also happening, Janet. We've talked about this for decades together with our friend Mark Crutcher and Tom.
Mark Crutcher. Yeah.
You want to say it, Janet?
Yeah. So for years, Mark Crutcher has always said that the defining moment will happen when we overturn Roe. All of us who've been in the trenches with all the dirty, messy fight to end abortion and overturning Roe, then all those who were cheering up in the stands, go, you go, team, you go, but not lifting a pinky to help us. They'll be high-fiving us now and slapping us on the back going, we did it. We did it,
right. We were with you all the way.
Yeah,
we were with
you all the way. We prayed for you, and we were with you all the way. And you know, I used to challenge people and say, I'm with you all the way. So I don't want you with me all the way. I want you beside me all the way.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, we're behind you. Yeah.
Arm in arm.
In the shadows.
I can't wait, Father, to see the statement, the press release by the USCCB pro-life secretariat. Are we going to hear a little Yahoo cheer from them? I don't know. Let's wait and see.
We'll hear cheering, but you know, it would have been nice if some of it was, you know.
But I'm hoping.
Listen, Janet, I told Father, and I won't get into the story other than to say, I was a junior in college on January 22nd, 1973, and know exactly when the decision came down. I was a political science, economic, pre-law major, and my attitude as a young evangelical Christian was, well, that's interesting. Who cares? You know, and so, but my whole story, you know, it's been my whole professional life now dealing with this. Today is an unbelievable day. But the war is not over in any means. But we are on the beachhead now, and we're moving into France.
We are.
That's right. We are. Well, Father, you're at the National Right to Life Convention. Are the workshops going on as planned right now?
Well, Janet, they are. I mean, cheering is erupting in the various. But the workshops are underway, and I actually have to give one in about 10 minutes. Tom, and we're together on that. I actually have to give a workshop in 10 minutes. I hope Becky can come on before I have to go.
Okay. Father, we have a request here. Church Militant is asking for a blessing. Can we give them a blessing right now?
I was just going to say, and a prayer for this victory. Well, Lord, we thank you for this victory. We praise you, and we know that this shows your faithfulness. It shows, Lord, many things. It shows that elections matter. We give thanks for President Donald Trump, for these justices, because without him, this day would not be here. We give you thanks for the Senate Republicans who stood fast to confirm Justice Gorsuch and Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Barrett, because without them, this day wouldn't have come. Lord, we thank you for the voters who voted with the Supreme Court in mind. The Supreme Court motivated so many voters in the elections of 2016 that got Donald Trump and pro-life Republicans into office. Lord, so we give you thanks. We give you thanks for all the state legislators, especially our friends in Mississippi, who made this possible. We give you thanks for all the workers and educators and marchers and people and advocates in the pro-life movement who have done this work. Lord, this shows, first of all, your faithfulness. Your faithfulness. People who prayed, suffered, and even died, looking, as Scripture says, Abraham looked from afar, because what was promised was not yet before him, but he saw it and saluted it from afar. And we remember the people who saluted this day from afar. Nellie Gray and so many others, they saluted. They knew it was coming. They saw it coming. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, we will get to the promised land. I might not make it there with you, but we will get to the promised land. And Lord, we see your faithfulness come about now, rewarding and answering the prayers of all these people from decades past. And secondly, Lord, this day shows the resiliency of the American Constitution, the resiliency of this nation, that we could go for 50 years with such a profound error on our heads and yoking us on our shoulders, that there's a constitutional right to an abortion, a profound error that short-circuited not only the legislative and judicial processes, but conversations around the dinner table, because people would just pipe up and say, oh, but there's a constitutional right to an abortion, when meanwhile that was nonsense. Lord, somehow, because of the wisdom of our founders, guided by your hand, this country is able to bounce back from an error like this, so profound and so long-lasting. And yet we have today, through the mechanisms established by our Constitution, through a decision of our Supreme Court, a peaceful declaration that, hey, we were wrong, and now we're going to set out a new standard, and we're going to set out on a new path, and the American people are going to be able to resolve the issue of abortion much better than unelected justices. Lord, we thank you for the resiliency of this country that we see on display today. And we thank you for this victory on many other levels, which we will continue to thank you for in the days, the weeks, the months ahead. So thank you, Lord, and may your Holy Spirit now pour out upon us. May our rejoicing be in your name, and may it lead us to even greater victories for life. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Well, we're going to have that person from Mississippi any minute now. They're trying to connect. And I know, Father, you're going to have to go in a few minutes to your workshop. It's kind of ironic what's happening. I'm getting, my cell phone is literally blowing up with
I know,
messages.
mine too. This is absolutely, this is crazy. We must be getting all sorts of wild, I mean just wildly enthusiastic and numerous comments on our chat.
Sides inside of love, we want everyone on it. We want everyone to be together in this. So we have no ill will toward that, you know.
I've always mentioned about how impressed I am with this young generation being so actively involved in the pro-life movement. What was it for you personally that got you involved on the pro-life side?
Honestly, I couldn't say. I always just felt that way. I know that my parents were that way too, you know, and I know people whom I love dearly, you know, friends, family who could have been aborted and their parents chose life, and that matters so much to me because I can't imagine a world without them. You know?
Well, God bless you for being out here. And today, once again, a very historic day in front of our U.S. Supreme Court, and we are just happy to be a part of that. Thank you so much. Let's take a look at the bubble machine going on here as well.
Wow. SCOTUS has overturned Roe v. Wade. Again, let's clarify for our listeners what the court has done. It has adopted the reasoning outlined by Justice Alito, and he is the author of the decision. Namely, the Constitution provides no right to abortion. The history of the country shows that it was never deeply rooted. And this is one of the things the court looks at when it decides whether there is a right to something that is not explicitly mentioned in the text of the Constitution, but they don't find it in the history either. And then as far as stare decisis, they say it's not an inexorable command. It doesn't mean the court always has to stick with previous decisions. What it means is the court can review decisions, and if it realizes they were wrong, as this one was, egregiously wrong, that the reasoning behind them was weak, and the decision today says the reasoning behind Roe was very weak, that the standard they set was unworkable, and the decision today says the standard was very unworkable, that it did harm in other areas of the law. That's another thing that the decision today points out. This constitutional right to abortion, quote unquote, has harmed our free speech efforts, our protest rights. It has harmed other areas of the law and distorted them. We've always called it the abortion distortion. And then the court says there are not reliance interests on this. Women don't advance in society because of the ability to kill their children. The advancement of women in society has been increasing, even while abortion has been decreasing, and the court says that as well. The court also says, yes.
We have Becky Curry right now
Oh my
on the line.
goodness, Becky!
What a day! What a day!
What a day!
This is congratulations.
Thank you so much. I have done nothing but laugh and cry and laugh and cry. And it's just, I can feel God saying, job well done. And that means so much to me.
God is saying, and we are saying, job well done to everyone in the movement, but to you, and again, for our viewers that don't know, Becky is the principal author of the Gestational Age Act in the Mississippi legislature. She is a representative there. We honored her in January together with some of her colleagues. This is joy. This is a special joy, Becky, to have you on our broadcast. I'm going to let Janet chat with you. I'm at the National Right to Life Convention, so you can imagine the hallways are erupting in cheers, but I have to actually go give a workshop. But I just wanted to say my personal congratulations to you. I mean, today the Supreme Court has upheld the law that you wrote, and in doing so has overturned the whole basis of legal abortion in our country. What a day of victory. Just in a nutshell, how do you feel?
Well, it's been a long year. When I met you guys and you were always so kind and supportive of me, it's just been a long year. And, it seemed like this decision took forever, but it's here, and I always knew that this bill was anointed when I started working on it. And, I never worried about it not making it. I know that may sound odd, but how God speaks to you. He just lets you know you're doing what he wants you to do.
Okay.
Well, Janet, I'm going to let you continue to interview Becky.
Bye, Father Frank.
And we'll
bye,
catch
Father.
up.
Let the girls talk. Let the girls talk. Right? Power to the women. Listen, so Becky, let's give everyone a snapshot because I don't think they have any idea. Where's Becky?
I'm here.
Okay.
My phone is ringing off the hook and I'm on my phone and I apologize.
That's okay. But people don't understand how long this took. So please take us back. When did you what was the date and time where you first started working on this bill?
We started working on this bill in the fall of 2017.
Wow.
And so you can imagine how long it's been, just from the conception of writing it and then having to take it to the floor of the House and then having to, get it through the Senate on the other side and having our governor sign it. And then it was immediately struck down by the courts. So I went about my regular life. I'm a registered nurse and working to help people. And I got a phone call one day and said, your case is going before the Supreme Court. And it was shocking to me. I'm like, I knew that this bill was special and I knew that God was looking out for it, but
yeah, it's going to come in and out, brothers and sisters, because she's on her phone. So be patient. Here she comes.
It is, and I'm so sorry, but every friend in the world is calling.
So Becky, 5 years in the making, and then also too, I just want you to reflect, because I am sure everybody wasn't cheerleading your bill all along. There was a lot of like pushback, people saying, well, this may not be the right bill, and oh, it might enshrine Roe, maybe, oh, it maybe can't overturn it. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? I noticed, I've been at this for 30 years or more.
Right.
And there's always everybody else trying to think ahead about, is this the right bill? Is this the right bill? And I used to always say to all the naysayers, get out of the way. We don't know what God will use
That's
to
right.
accomplish what we want. And I have to say to you, Becky, thank you for not being deterred, for believing that God anointed this bill and the wording, because who knew 5 years ago this would be the vehicle? But it was you and your team in Mississippi, the faithfulness to not listen to the naysayers and just say, we're putting it before the Lord. He's encouraging us, and we don't know, but let's see what God can do. And we serve a mighty God, and look what He did, Becky. I mean,
That's right.
Is there a big party happening in Mississippi tonight?
Well, I'm headed to the Capitol, and we are celebrating. And I have to tell you, I would say to every state legislator out there, because this has been a big, long lesson for me. Do not let people, and I had so many people who said they were pro-life telling me that, you're just wasting state taxpayers' dollars. These are all going to court and they're never going to live. Well, this goes to show you it was all worth it.
That's right.
So for every state legislator who's about to have to determine what they're going to do now, stand strong and do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, it's easy. It's easy.
Right.
Thanksgiving at my house is sometimes uncomfortable the last 5 years with some of my family members, but people that love me and know the reasons I did this, that's who I hang on to. And I love, and I know we've done the right thing.
Well, Becky, I just want to, again, on behalf of the entire pro-life movement, I'm expressing our deep gratitude to you, to everyone in Mississippi. And you go now, girl, and you celebrate with all those people in the state capitol, and just know the whole nation, and actually the whole world, because everyone looks at America and
That's
what
right.
we're doing here. And so the whole world is rejoicing, and those unborn children are just cheering. And also all those pro-life leaders who have gone before us are saying, amen, Becky. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. And I hope we get to see each other soon one day. We can have a good celebration.
We can really celebrate now, right?
Excellent. Exactly. Great. God bless. And thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
God bless. Well, wasn't that terrific, brothers and sisters? How many people could have the author of the Mississippi Bill on with us? I think amazing, amazing. And, got to pray for them there in Mississippi, because I'm sure there's others that are not so happy with them, but we certainly are. And I see Brian is there. Who you got there with you, Brian? I can't hear Brian.
Hey, can you hear me now? There you go. Hi, everybody. I'm incognito with no yellow tie.
Oh, it's Larry Soriano. Okay. Choose Life guy, the Choose Life guy.
Without the tie, it's hard to recognize him sometimes, Janet.
I know. Without that yellow tie, it's amazing. Well,
Janet,
so Larry,
a lot of the sessions have just started. A lot of the sessions have just started, so the halls have cleared. Obviously, everybody like Father Frank, who's giving a talk right now, I think their talks just got changed. But we are excited. We're watching the footage. But Janet, Joe, is cool is some of the National Right to Life Convention has a Teens for Life convention during the convention. And some of the young people were coming up to me. They had some of the signs that say overturn Roe versus Wade. And they all got markers and started changing the signs saying Roe has been overturned. Seeing the young people excited. Janet, I've been doing youth work since I started in this movement. And seeing young people like Kate Prayne and Sean Boyer texting me, all these interns just thanking me for the work that we've been doing. And I'm telling them, I'm thanking them, because this generation, like Father Frank has always said, they are not the leaders of tomorrow. They are the leaders of today. And we have seen so many great young people getting involved, Janet. My daughter calling me, everybody. I'm sure you've heard from your family. It's Janet. This is, like I said, this is one of the greatest days of my life. This is what we have talked about for so many years. And I remember the first time I met Father Frank Pavone was at the March for Life, and it was, I believe, 1995, and I was undercover as a pro-abort. And Father Frank was looking at me like about to give me a little lecture, and I whispered in his ear, "Hey, I'm one of you." And that started my friendship with Father Frank and you and
Right.
Jerry Horn and everybody.
So here's a good message. My phone is blowing up,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just got a message from our dear friend Alfredo over in Rome, and
Oh,
he said,
yay, Alfredo.
yeah, he says, "Congratulations, Janet. Italian TV news is telling about Roe v. Wade overturned by the Supreme Court. Great job, my friend. We are happy and proud of you." So over in Italy, our friends over in Italy are celebrating the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Look at that. So
Absolutely. Have we heard from Jerry Horn yet?
oh, here's another message. This is from a local pastor here in Titusville, Pastor Larry Linkus, and he says, "Good morning, Janet. What a day of massive victory for the unborn. So thankful for the ministries like Father Frank's Priest for Life, for the leadership and hard work put forth to lead us to this most important day. Please be very vigilant in taking care around your staff and facility. People are capable of negative reactions. Our prayers and love to all." And the messages keep pouring in. I mean, it's amazing how many people are calling our office, sending us emails. It's like there's like a real sense of, oh, yay. Everyone's cheering. Everyone is cheering around the country. So, Larry, I have a question for you. Now that we have this victory, do you think more states will be able to readily adopt the Choose Life license plate program?
I certainly hope so. But realistically, each state legislature will have to deal with it individually, and I don't know where that's going to go. Our battle is to help to change the culture, to make abortion unthinkable. Certainly, a lot less people. Michael New suggested it would be 887 babies a day will be saved starting tomorrow. But certainly in Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, New York, California, we've got a lot of work to do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then
we
have,
continues,
we have a ballot initiative coming up in Kansas on August 2nd.
And what's that? Tell us about that.
They've put on the ballot whether or not abortion's in their constitution. And so the people of Kansas will get to vote on that on August 2nd.
Wow. So that's very important.
That's coming up right away.
Yeah, and then I know there's a ballot initiative they're fighting in Michigan too.
Right.
They want to enshrine abortion in the Michigan Constitution. Right now, when Roe is overturned, abortion becomes illegal, I do believe, in Michigan, but now they're trying to change that. And so therefore, we have got to, at the state level, boy, the battle is raging already, and we really have to get involved. And this coming election in November is going to be very important.
The law is a great educator, and it'll be a great lesson to a lot of people. I mean, as long as we're not teaching people that it's wrong, it's been a problem. Now we teach them it's wrong.
Is Barbara there? No, she's not. Okay. No, I thought we had another. Yeah.
Janet, I just got a text from a friend of mine in a Christian band who worked with me way back in the Rock for Life days, and he's got a new band out, and he texted me that they are going to write a song for us because of today. He was telling me thank you for all the work we've been doing, and they are going to be writing a song about this for us today. So I just thought that was awesome. I can't even keep up with the text. Like, you're looking at your phone now. We cannot keep up.
Well, I just got one from John Henry Weston from LifeSite News, and he says, "Janet, you can tell Norma, promise fulfilled." Congrats, my friends. Because that was the thing I said to Norma, and Norma said to me and Father Pavone right before she passed away. We were on the phone with her less than an hour before she died, and she told us, please continue the work, continue the fight, get Roe overturned, please, for me. And so I can say, Norma, we promised we would do it, and the promise has been kept. So yes, for Norma and Sandra, promises kept. Amen.
Jen, I
right?
just got a text from Abby Johnson, says, man, what an amazing day. Thank you for all you've done. Now, Janet, years ago, I did a thing with Jason Jones where I said, until abortion
But
ends,
Rob, I see her in the.
until Roe versus Wade is overturned, we were going to give something up. And so 12 years ago, Janet, I gave up French fries. Until the overturning of Roe versus Wade, I gave up French fries. So all my friends are texting me, at lunch today, I'm going to have the biggest plate of French fries I've ever had. Oh, what a day. 12 years without French fries waiting for this. So I'm eating a lot of French fries today.
A lot of French fries. Oh my gosh, really?
Well, no, I gave them up 12 years ago. I gave up French fries until the overturning of Roe versus Wade as a sacrifice. Me and Jason Jones, a whole bunch of us. And so I have not eaten a French fry since then. And today I'm eating some French fries.
All right, well, go eat some French fries. Absolutely.
Happy to have that. That's great. Yeah.
Well, I want to remind all our viewers that next week on endabortion.tv, Father Frank and I are going to have special programs each and every day, because what we're going to be doing now is, the decision of the Alito leak was about 90 some odd pages. Excuse me, the final decision is close to 200. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to give classes on this decision all next week on our TV programming. So we're going to have special programming throughout the week. And if it goes into the following week, we'll do that too. But we're going to take that decision apart so that you understand it. And we're going to develop talking points, because this is going to be a conversation now that's going to happen in your communities. And we in the pro-life movement have to be very, very educated in knowing how to respond with the truth. Because I'll tell you right now, the media is getting it wrong. Someone texted me, said, I'm driving in my car when the decision first happened. The media was reporting the decision was 5-4. And I said, no, it's 6-3. We got everybody. And so, wait now, Brian and Larry, we got another pro-life leader joining us. My dear friend, Monica Miller.
Monica!
Citizens of a pro-life society. Hey, Monica, how many decades we've been working on this, right?
We've been in the pro-life movement 46 years.
Okay, so Monica, from the minute you first heard this news, tell me I was crying, but what was your reaction? Give us your emotion the minute you heard it.
The minute I heard it, I frankly felt a certain surge of anxiety. I know that may sound odd, but it's almost, in some ways, it's almost too difficult to absorb. I'm overwhelmed, and I have a lot of mixed emotions. I have joy, but I also have, a sense of anxiety. I know that the future is going to be filled with many battles as we go forward. And I live in Michigan, so we've been battling this pro-death petition drive for weeks. We may have a ballot referendum in November that will codify abortion. So my point being, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of messaging that needs to be getting out there. The pro-aborts are geared up. They're very, very angry. They have their violent extremist wing that has already done a lot of damage. Here's the other thing that I want to perhaps focus, put a focus on something. We're sending out a blitz to our national list in just a few minutes, but it's amazing to me, almost incomprehensible to me, that the Roe v. Wade decision of 1973 has been now characterized as, from the start, egregiously wrongly decided. Have I got that right? Mm-hmm. Egregiously wrongly decided from the start. So for 49 years, an egregiously wrongly decided decision sent a whole people group to their deaths.
Right.
52 million innocent unborn children have died under a egregiously wrongly decided decision. We have to own that. America is guilty of shedding innocent blood under a law that never should have been there to begin with. And you know what? You can't say, oops, sorry. Right?
Right.
We messed up.
Yeah. Monica, I agree with you 100%. And in fact, this past January, I, along with other pro-life leaders and Women of Silent No More, came in front of the court on the 22nd. This was after the March for Life was gone and everything over. On the 22nd, we came in front of the court in prayer and reparation and laid flowers, remembering, like you're saying, the 62 million children.
I was there, the carnations.
You were there with us. Yeah. And I'm prepared to come back again this year. It will be on Sunday, January 22nd. And I am prepared to come back with you and Brandy Sundell and Pat Mahoney. And we will lead a prayer service in front of the Supreme Court, because to me, Monica, and I am agreeing with you, January 22nd is a day that will live in American infamy. It is the American Holocaust, just like Pearl Harbor, just like September 11th. Only so many millions more souls were lost because of the American Holocaust of abortion, and we will not let that day be forgotten. We'll come. I am committed, Monica, to get that enshrined. January 22nd, a day of mourning for our nation.
Yes, exactly. I think, we have the National Day of Remembrance for Aborted Babies. Priests for Life is one of the national co-sponsors for that. So this year in September, the second Saturday of September 2022, is going to be very special.
Yes.
Where we're gather at the grave sites, literally grave sites, many of them mass graves of these victims that were claimed by this, from the start, egregiously wrongly decided. It's just incredible. The women who have been hurt.
That's right.
The consequence of Roe versus Wade.
And also
have been hurt.
Right. And also, Monica, besides those who have been physically damaged, psychologically damaged, but what about also remembering the women who have died in these legal abortion clinics? Women. See,
at this point, we're talking hundreds, if not thousands of women.
Yeah. And people just think, magically, they made abortion legal with Roe and suddenly it became safe, legal and rare. False, lie. Women still die from legal abortion in America. And guess what? The other side is claiming like, abortion's going to go away now. Oh, no. There's at least 7 or 8 states that have enshrined it already till birth. Right. Shame on New York. Shame on California. Shame on New Jersey.
Colorado,
shame
New
on
Jersey.
Illinois. Yeah, I mean, till birth. So we have a lot of work to do.
Right.
This battle is not over until every child is protected, and every child's protected, then the woman and the father are also protected from the damage we know abortion does to them. So I know I've been telling people, Monica, about the initiative in Michigan. For those who might be watching us from Michigan, is there a website, something they can do to get involved?
Yes, there is. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about it. Come on, tell us about it.
The website that's been designed, and it's under the umbrella of Right to Life of Michigan. So it's very, very informative. I direct people there all the time. So it's support MI. So that's MI, initials for Michigan. Support MI womenandchildren.org. So support MI womenandchildren.org. And that will give everybody the information they need on what's been going on in Michigan, this pro-death petition drive, which we've done so much to try and thwart it. I pray every day that it fails. The pro-abortion side needs to get at minimum 425,000 valid signatures Actually, they need more than that because a lot of signatures get thrown out and certain petitions get invalidated and so on and so forth. So they really need almost 600,000 to make this work. But at a minimum, they need 425,000. They have about another week to gather these signatures. And you know what? This decision coming down today in Dobbs is going to continue to fire up the other side. The leaked written opinion did a lot of damage because that fired up this petition drive and whatever else has been going on across the states. But Michigan suffered for the pro-life, and we suffered as a consequence of that leaked Alito's written opinion. It fired up the other side. More money was pouring into Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, Michigan Voices. That's the coalition that they put together. So this is a very big battleground here in Michigan. So again, the website is support MI.
The law in Michigan is protecting the unborn children, right, Monica?
Yeah.
Tell us about.
Well, there's another battlefront there.
But describe for us though, before Roe, what's the law in Michigan that will now it flips back?
There's a law that this law has a very interesting history. It actually stretches back into the 19th century. It was enshrined again, reaffirmed, shall they put it, in 1931 and again in 1972 because there was a referendum to remove this ban on abortion, this law that's been on the books all these literally decades and decades. It failed in 1972 as a lot of states, unfortunately, even before Roe v. Wade, were removing legal protections from unborn children, but even before 1973. So this law survived that challenge in 1972. And now, unfortunately, a pro-abortion Planned Parenthood supporter judge, Elizabeth Geisler, put an injunction on this law. And so we are also battling that now in order to find our legal path to get that injunction removed. Right now, if there wasn't that injunction, right now, this second, abortions would be illegal in Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So perhaps because of now this decision, that injunction could go away.
I believe there's a legal pro-life legal group, Alliance Defending Freedom, I think is the group. Right. That is working on getting this injunction lifted.
Right.
So
wow,
we're praying for that too.
So that's what we're trying to show everyone right now. Yes, we're celebrating. Yes, this is a milestone victory, but now the battle is going to ensue in the states. Yep. That's why everybody has got to be involved. You just can't be couch potatoes now. Everyone's got to roll up your sleeves and get in the battle. We need everybody. Anyone who says I'm pro-life, okay, you're pro-life. Well, then you have to be pro-action. That's what we're going to need right now.
Right. I'm very fond of saying abortion is not going to be overturned by thinking pro-life thoughts.
Right.
Abortion is going to be overturned by pro-life action. So
right. Exactly.
That's what we need to do.
Now, and of course, right now too, I'm very concerned about the pregnancy centers. And I know there in Michigan, you've had a few attacks on some pregnancy centers by this Jane's Revenge group, right?
Right. Yeah, there's been, I believe, 3. One in Redford, Michigan, one in Dearborn Heights, the Lennon Center, and a clinic in Jackson, Michigan.
Right. Well, I've been encouraging, Monica, for people to go to pregnancycenters.org, put in your zip code, see where the nearest pregnancy center is to your town. And today, right now, you're off from work, maybe you have some free time, show up and offer to volunteer at your pregnancy center. And
or make a donation, especially to these places that vandalism.
That's right, because a lot of these pregnancy centers do not have the funds to start hiring extra protection, both video cameras and police, private
you have to have a 24-hour security guard, well, especially at night, maybe 12 hours at night. But we're going to we have 4 post-Roe rallies in Michigan. By the way, let me promote this. This is important. there are actually 90, maybe even more than 90 rallies today, okay, that have already been planned. So people can find a rally in their city super easy. All you need to do is go to www.overturnrow.org, simple, overturnrow.org. Click, you get the menu at the top, click on find a rally and scroll down to your state. It's all alphabetized by state, and find where one of these rallies is going to be taking place today. I'm going to be out in front of the Planned Parenthood in Livonia, Michigan, Eastern time, starting at 3:00 this afternoon, and we'll be there till 6. Our friend Lynn Mills from Pro-Life Michigan and our group, Citizens for a Pro-Life Society, have organized this rally, and there are a number of, like I said, over 90 rallies to choose from. So again, it's overturnrow.org, and then click on find a rally, and boom, you're there. And get out sometime today and join one of these rallies. A lot of media coverage is going to be happening on our side, and of course on the pro-abortion side, and this is an opportunity for us to get our message out.
All right, great. I think just try to stay with me, Monica, because I'm being told that I think Eric Scheidler is going to try and join us. So let's just give him a minute to get connected. They're sending him a link right now.
Our group, Pro-Life Action League, and Mark Harrington's group, Created Equal, are the co-sponsors of these rallies.
Okay, we have Scott Klusendorf just joined us. Hey, Scott.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Well, it's in California, right? So it's morning, right?
Well, actually, I'm in Atlanta, so you're right. It is almost afternoon, but what a day. Great to see all of you.
All right, just for our viewers, introduce yourself, Scott, so everyone, I know who you are, but you do your own introduction. Go ahead.
Well, I'm the president of Life Training Institute, and we train pro-lifers to make a case for the pro-life view in the public square. And we do a lot of speaking in colleges, Catholic high schools, Protestant high schools, and what a delight to see each of you. I'm looking at Monica Miller, who's just done unbelievable work on the use of abortion victim photography. I'm looking at Deborah. I'm looking at Brian. Hey, Brian, how are you? Larry's there. Janet, always good to see you. So this is a day we all need to celebrate.
Well, and Scott, we go way back. I remember going to the very first Scott Klusendorf training on how to talk about the issue when Father Frank was my parish priest.
And you still let me on the show today? I'm amazed.
Well, actually, Father right now is at the National Right to Life Convention. He's in a workshop right now, believe it or not. When he's done with his workshop, he'll be back on with us. But you have debated this issue for decades, right? With good, clear thinking. What advice can you give to our pro-lifers right now? Everyone's celebrating the victory, but as we know, the rhetoric out there is going to be atrocious from the other side. Can you give our people a few kernels of what do you want to say to them right now about how to speak about the overturning of Roe? Give us a little bit of your wisdom.
Well, I think less is more. We need to keep the main thing the main thing. If I were a pro-life politician, here would be my 7-second soundbite anytime I'm asked about abortion from this point forward. It would be, I oppose abortion because it's wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Stop, rinse, repeat 1,000 times over. That keeps it simple, communicates the moral logic of our view, and doesn't allow a hostile press to take us off message. If I'm a lay pro-lifer, I would basically say this: I oppose abortion because it's wrong to intentionally kill innocent human beings. Abortion does that. Therefore, I oppose it. And I can defend my view using science to illustrate that the unborn are distinct, living, and whole human beings. And I can demonstrate philosophically there's no essential difference between me, the embryo, and me, the adult, that would justify killing me back then. Now, that simple little short soundbite lays out the moral logic of the pro-life view and allows us to be clear. Lots of people right now are trying to redefine what pro-life means. We've got people saying we got to shift from pro-life to whole life, meaning we got to take on a whole bunch of other issues besides abortion. We cannot fall for that. We must not take that bait. We've got to keep the main thing the main thing. Nobody says to the American Cancer Society, you're not a legitimate healthcare organization because you only treat one disease and not many. And yet people tell pro-lifers you have no right to call yourself pro-life if you don't care for all of life. Well, here's my question. How does it follow that because we oppose the intentional killing of an innocent human being, we have to take responsibility for fixing everything in society? That's nonsense. We're not going to fall for it. We as pro-lifers are going to keep the focus on the children that are being intentionally killed, and we're going to keep the main thing the main thing.
That's
Scott,
great.
we're like firemen and EMTs on the front line. We save the babies, and then the Red Cross or somebody else takes over.
Right on, Larry.
So Scott, tell our listeners or viewers your website where they can get some of your great logic, your great arguments that they can really be good arguers of the issue. What's your website?
Go to prolifetraining.com. We got a link at the top at prolifetraining.com called The Case for Life under the resource tab, and that will help equip them to engage unchurched friends who don't share our worldview but still need to hear the moral logic of the pro-life view. As we all know here, all of us are basically coming from a Christian view of the world. But here's the thing. A lot of the people we're talking to don't hold that view. So we have to know how to communicate that view in a secular culture. And the Case for Life that we communicate at prolifetraining.com will help people do that.
All right, great. Well, we have here joining us Eric Scheidler, Executive Director of the Pro-Life Action League. And Eric, I have to say, with tears in my eyes, I only wish your dad was here to celebrate with us. Tell us your reaction.
Well, I can't stop thinking about him today. I've got a big picture of his face at one of our Face of Truth tours on my wall here in my office. I see his face every time I walk in and out the front door. He's been very much on all of our hearts and minds here at the Pro-Life Action League. We just finished up our 10-day Face of Truth tour throughout Chicagoland, and we brought a big picture of him with us, and we really felt his presence as we presented the reality of abortion to the people of Illinois, a state where the overturning of Roe v. Wade is actually going to lead to tremendous loss of life and devastation. So it's a kind of a bittersweet moment for us here, and I'm sure in many other blue states, because Roe versus Wade means people next door in Indiana and in Wisconsin, in Missouri especially, are going to be able to live in a state without abortion. And that feels different to you when you're a pro-lifer. I remember traveling to Ireland before Ireland changed their abortion law. Just knowing you were in a country where they weren't slaughtering little children, really, it felt more peaceful. The temptation to move to an abortion-free state, I think, will be strong for many of us. But we're going to stay here in Illinois and keep fighting, because abortion is going to just ramp up here. Our out-of-state abortions have been dramatically increasing, even before some of the changes in our parental notice law and so forth that have happened. We've recently repealed our parental notice of abortion law here in Illinois, but very much feeling my father's presence in all of this, both in the joy, and I really feel, and I know it's difficult to speculate on these spiritual matters, but I feel strongly that he's been praying for this and has had a role to play, spiritually making this happen. But also his determination to keep fighting. He got into the movement, thought maybe 5 or 10 years would be about what it would take. It ended up being 50 to get Roe versus Wade overturned. But that really just begins our battle, doesn't it? I mean,
yes.
Not a lot of people remember this, but back in 1972, before Roe v. Wade, the New York legislature they repealed their radically liberal abortion law because they saw how horrific it was for the state, women flying in for abortion. All right, so they repealed that law. The Republican governor Nelson Rockefeller vetoed that repeal, and then Roe v. Wade came. All right, so that's what I'm hoping will happen in these places like Illinois, New York, California, that become so radical. They'll become abortion destination states, and finally the people will wake up and push back. So we're really returning to the conversation that was silenced, muzzled by the Supreme Court back in 1973. We're returning to that day. But the problem is we've had 50 years of people getting used to abortion in the interim. So it's going to be tremendously difficult. But if we can do this, if we can overturn Roe v. Wade, my God, what can't we do?
That's right. And I just want to remind everyone who doesn't know who Joe Scheidler was. Joe Scheidler was a hero to many of us in the pro-life movement. So many of us would not be in the pro-life movement if it wasn't for Joe Scheidler. I can remember when Father Pavone first was given the assignment by Cardinal O'Connor to be the first full-time director of Priests for Life. Father picked up the phone, called Joe Scheidler. Joe said, "Come to Chicago, Father." And he took Father Frank under his wing, introduced him to whole bunches of people in the pro-life movement. And Joe was like that with every one of us. I can remember being at speaking engagements with your dad, sitting with him, sharing a cab, always watching him write in his diary. But the encouragement he gave so many of us, I truly believe so many of us would not be in this battle if it wasn't for your dad. So Eric, on behalf of me and so many others, I have to say thank you to your dad for his courage, because your dad was a successful businessman and he walked away from that to start the Pro-Life Action League, right? Because so the day of victory that we're having right now, this monumental moment in time, happened because people like your father saw they're killing babies. I got to do something about that. So, you cut your teeth on this.
I met Joe when I was 24 years old at a meeting at the Illinois Right Committee before he got fired. And the meeting, I knew it was a pro-life meeting, but a meeting to plan a sit-in at an abortion clinic in Chicago. And I do talk about Joe very extensively in my book, Abandoned, The Untold Story of the Abortion Wars, St. Benedict Press, 10 books, in case anybody wants to get it. But about my first encounter with and that rescue, of course, back then we called them sit-ins, that Joe planned in 1978. So it's been Joe is a very, 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 very.
We have a real special thank you to Eric, to your mom, Ann, who's there every step of the way, who went through 3 trips to the Supreme Court, put up your house and everything else. That's your family has done yeoman's task in helping to fight the fight.
That's right, Eric. I always remember your mom when we were at the victory party on the final victory at the Supreme Court, and we came to Chicago for that victory party. I remember your mom saying, "I now can safely have my house back and finally get my kitchen remodeled." I remember your mom saying that. But Larry is right. Your family walked the walk, literally. They put their home on the line, their livelihood on the line. And that was, how many people can say they had to go to the Supreme Court against the National Organization of Women 3 times to finally get that victory? And it was a big victory, Eric. Wasn't it like 8-1?
Yeah, he's
on the phone.
There, yeah, he's
All right, he's on the phone.
I believe that, I think it was 8-0. I forget why there was a 0 in there for some reason, but
all right. But it was a great victory. A great victory that we all can thank the Scheidler family for. Well, joining me here also is Deb Tilden. She's
I'm going to need to sign off. I just want to say bye to everybody before.
Thanks for joining us, Monica. Thank you. God bless. Okay, so now we have Deb Tilden. And for those who don't know, Deb Tilden is the regional coordinator now in Montana for the Silent No More Awareness campaign. And she's also the founder of Smart Women's Health. But she herself has had an abortion. And I want to get Deb's reaction right now, because if abortion had not been legal, would you have had your abortion? I think that's a lot of the women with Silent No More and gone through abortion recovery programs are grappling with that right now, that oh my God, if it wasn't legal, I wouldn't have done it. Tell us about your feelings, Deb.
I am overjoyed that this decision has come down as it has. But it does bring up emotion, because your question, I truly believe if, hindsight's always 20/20. If I had had the pregnancy resource centers available to me. My abortion was in the fall of 1980 in Portland, Oregon. And there was none of those resources were available. They just, they feed you the lies of, well, nobody has to know that you're pregnant. I was engaged to be married. And so we just really, took their their bait, hook, line, and sinker. And without any full disclosure of any information of how that decision would affect me as a woman, us as a couple, our future family, and just all of the dynamics that then unfolded in my life, our life, after that decision. They tell you, oh, life can get back to normal, and life was never normal again after that point. I think, my heart breaks really for the women out there who have lived in this culture of Roe and been lied to by the abortion industry and their allies, that abortion has no consequences. And, it's really troubling to see just some of the narratives out there. Even, I've been looking at, you keep seeing a lot of posts. I went to the SCOTUS blog this morning, and quotes from Ruth Bader Ginsburg and just the Jane's Revenge group and all of this. One of the things that Ruth Bader Ginsburg said was, Roe isn't really about women's choice, is it? It's about doctors' freedom to practice. And it wasn't woman-centered. It was physician-centered. And so with Smart Women's Healthcare, we started back in 2015. I feel like such a newbie in the movement because my first step in the door was Silent No More Operation Outcry. My first time of sharing my story on the Capitol steps in Sacramento, California. And just meeting, Janet, you back then, and Georgette, and some of the California leaders of that. And just the movement of walking through my own healing journey. But we started Smart Women's Healthcare technically in 2015. The worldwide research out there, abortion is not healthcare for women. When a woman is pregnant, she is a parent. She is making a parenting decision. We made the choice so tragically because of the lack of information we were given and just the lies we bought into, not to have a relationship with our firstborn child. And that has affected us, our whole marriage. Thank God for the people who lead the abortion healing recovery groups and that have been available and walked alongside me all these years to be able to be sitting here and talking about this without completely, falling apart. We need to, what Scott said early on about what we need to make the point, where we have come in this nation, where abortion for any reason at any stage of pregnancy, even after birth, has become acceptable and a quote unquote right for women in America. That is just disgusting to the core, really. And to tell women that there's no consequences of making that choice is medical malpractice, mental health malpractice. I mean, there's so many things playing out. And my heart really goes out to these women who have become the pawns of the abortion industry, the abortion lobby, and those that just keep peddling this narrative and putting fear in women that of how bad this is for them. Women need to understand truth in science-based healthcare, holistic healthcare as a woman. And, I invite people to go to our website. We have a huge collaboration of many, many organizations. Some of them are they teach courses in women's healthcare. We need to get resources like complications as a
Spain or somebody else
in our medical schools.
Right.
And
Exactly.
our women's studies programs. If we're going to talk about abortion, let's talk about it. This is a resource with more than 600 worldwide studies of the physical and psychological harm of abortion on women. Let's talk about it.
So Scott, you're the great apologetics soundbite guy. to help women like Deb who've experienced abortion in this after Roe discussion, do you have some like good ways for them to like in short sound bites express their regret, express their experience? What would you want them saying that they help them take their longer story into some quick, thought-provoking statements? What could you say?
Well, first of all, their stories absolutely need to be heard, and I'm glad they are being heard. I would do this. I would take that 7-second soundbite and say, abortion is wrong because it intentionally kills an innocent human being. I've experienced that decision and I regret it. Can I tell you my story? You know, when you put it like that, it's very difficult for people to just slam you to the ground because who wants to be rude and say, no, you can't tell your story? But notice that you got the objective truth out there first, that abortion is wrong objectively because it intentionally kills an innocent human being. And then you get to say, and you know what? I have a story to tell about that, and I'd like to share it with you. You're combining very powerful logic with very powerful personal stories. That's a win. We get into trouble if we separate out the objective truth and only go with the subjective truth. And I think if we never bring in the personal side, people wonder if we have a heart, if we're really human.
Right.
So it's a very powerful combination when somebody can say, I'm going to tell you why abortion is objectively wrong, and then I'm going to tell you my story, how it relates to me. I think that's a powerful combination.
All right, so Scott, I want you to email me those sentences because I'm going to get them out to all the Silent No More women because I think right now we got to get them front and center with their stories. But your intro right now for them in this like soundbite way, I think is a great entree. So Janet at priestforlife.org, send it to me and I'm going to get it out to them. Right, Deb? You're going to get it out to all the women that are out there under your tutelage over there too, because, you know, I think Scott and Eric might agree also. Right now, we're at a very pivotal moment because suddenly the word abortion is being discussed. Remember all the years we would say, I wish the media would say something about abortion. But the problem we're having right now is if you turn on NBC, CNN, the things they're saying are such lies. They're wrong. So, you know, Scott, we need guys like you. I call you like the master of the thoughtful soundbite. So I think you're going to have to, you know, fuel us with those good, tight, like the one you just did. You're going to get that. You're going to email that to me for Silent No More. But there must be so many just like churning in your head right now. I think you got to get busy on your website and help us, okay?
Hey, we will, and I hate to duck out right now, but I actually am lined up back to back with stuff to do here media-wise, so I'm going to have to jump to the next thing. But Janet, great to see you. Eric, great to see you. And what everybody said about your dad is spot on. What a tremendous legacy. I thought of him within minutes of hearing the decision and thought, wow, we all stand on his shoulders. And what a legacy.
You know, as somebody who has actually had the chance as a kid to literally stand on his shoulders, I really do appreciate that. He was a rough and tumble play kind of guy. He'd throw you up in the sky, and so we did get to stand on his shoulders as kids.
He was a huge dude, man. I'll tell you, he was masculine all the way.
I've got to head down to downtown Chicago for our rally. I want to let everybody watching know there are rallies being held all over the country today. If you go to overturnroad.org, you can find a rally nearby. Guess what? It's not too late to run your own. If there's not a rally in your town, get 5 pro-life friends. Go down to City Hall, make some signs, tell the media you're going to be there. They'll come out and see you because this is the biggest news ever, as Janet just said. And Janet, one thought about that. Fortunately, very few Americans actually watch television news anymore. I feel bad for the ones who do because it's impossible to be well informed if you're watching television news. Smart people read their news. Dumb people watch it. I'm sorry, I'm just going by that. Quit watching. Stop it. Read. Read and you'll know what's going on. Read Scott Gutendorf's book and you'll know what's going on. Read my dad's memoir. You'll know what's going on. I got to run, folks. I hope to see lots of you at the rallies around the country, and thanks for the opportunity to be here with you today.
Thank you, Eric.
Good to see everybody.
Bye, Eric. God bless. Bye, Scott. I'll tell you, boy. What an interesting day. Well, Well,
Yes.
Deb, that's a good soundbite, I think, that Scott gave us, don't you, for the women?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Can't make
I
this
told,
up. Right.
I told him to send it to me so that we can get it out there because he's got a good point. You know, first you say what
Yes.
abortion is. I believe it's wrong because it kills an innocent human being. And then you say, I know because I experienced it. I made that decision. I regret it. And then you want to hear my story. It's a perfect entree in, isn't it, Deb? Right?
Well, and when we really start talking about the dynamics and the neurobiology of pregnancy, you know, as Janet, I love kind of getting into this. It's like these women have such a connection with this child already. And so you wonder if we really stay on the path of the science-based focus and holistic women's healthcare focus of
Right.
what that looks like. It just takes you to truth and what is healthy and a holistic healthcare approach for women.
Right. Right.
We,
Well, you know, I want to remind our audience right there, if you have a question for any of our people that are coming and going, all these leaders,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you can ask a question and we'll answer it here live on air. Okay. So, right, Rob, if everyone has a question, you can give it to me. We'll try and answer it. All right. We'd love to do that. We have a chance now to answer a question for people. I really am going to encourage everyone to tune in all next week to this channel because Father and I are going to give the classes on the decision. Father and I will be delving into the decision line by line. We're going to review it for you. We're going to give you talking points so that you really can articulate what this decision says. But like Eric has said and others, this is a day of celebration. We will remember this day forever in history, that this was the day we overturned Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton. And now we go on from here with, I think, invigorated, re-energized, and so on. And I know, Deb, your approach about the real science is so important because you can't argue with that. Look at all the studies that have shown how bad abortion is for women's health. And I know the bigger battle we're going to have right now is chemical abortion, the RU486. That is going to be rampant. Unfortunately, because of the Biden administration, they have made it okay to mail it in the mail to women. Can you imagine? I mean, if I got
The
a
danger is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
These
Women with ectopic pregnancies, women who are RH factor, people who are anemic, and then doing it alone by themselves
in their home, their bathroom. It's terrible. I mean, when you think about the irony, Larry and Deborah, is that right now, if I know I'm I'm coughing, congested, and I say, "Oh, I wish I could get some amoxicillin. I wish I could get an antibiotic." I can't get a mail order of amoxicillin, can I? Absolutely not. Just for a scratchy throat. What harm would it do my body if I started taking down some antibiotic? Oh no, I got to go to urgent care, let them examine me, and then phone in a script for me. And yet, all over the country right now, women can go and get RU486, take the pills themselves. They take one pill right away and the other a couple days later, because the first pill starves the baby, and then the second pill, they have contractions like they would in giving birth, and they dispel that baby right into their toilet. And you can go to abortiontestimonies.com. You got to read the horrible testimonies from these women who have experienced RU486 chemical abortion, and the horror. They are seeing their babies among clots of blood. They see fingers and toes of these babies.
Told it's going to be a heavy period, but it ends up being
it's terrible. It's terrible. And so, you know, our work is continuing. We have so much work to do.
Just begun in being able to disseminate the truth.
I see here a question is, what is a trigger law? We have to
what is
explain
a
to
trigger
people.
law? Okay, we can answer what a trigger law
There were a
is.
few other questions that came up too.
Okay. All right. Well, so they're going to give us the questions. Well, the first one, what is a trigger law? Let's answer that. Basically, those are laws. I'll comment first, then I'll go to Larry and Deb. A trigger law, from what I understand it, is, and they change slightly in the states that have created them, slight changes, but basically, bottom line, A trigger law means that abortion will be illegal in that state when Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton are overturned. That's what a trigger law means. And I read before there are 13 states currently, and I'll name them again, that have trigger laws. So right now in Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming, all those states, those 13 already had trigger laws in effect. So right now, at this moment, the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton makes abortion illegal in those states. Now, what people understand is that this Supreme Court decision, it's not like some court decisions in the states where they say, oh, that law will go in effect July 1st, or that law will go in effect down the road. This is immediate. This is now.
As soon as the decision is handed down.
Right.
But
So
we now need enforcement.
Right.
We now need
Correct.
those places to be closed. We need to start working on the pills that are being mailed into the state.
That's right.
People that are, it's very hard to see a lot of that. And it's going to be very hard to enforce.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go after the pharmaceutical companies, just like we did with the opiates and the fentanyl, and start working about what's coming across the borders.
Well, and women need to know about the abortionpillreversal.com. Some states that are on those border states, Washington and Idaho, they are putting up billboards to let women know that they can go and pursue that. Because many women, they take those pills, they realize what they've done, and they want to find a way out.
And over 2,000 babies that we know of have been saved that way.
Right.
Right.
Well, and it's interesting
the new frontier.
Where I'm at right now. We just recently relocated to Montana, but I lived in Oregon most of my life. And, you know, they have been pretty much the same as the current policy, all abortions for any reason at any stage of pregnancy. They have paid for, taxpayers in Oregon have paid for vacation abortions for women who could come from other states where it had already been banned. And so, you know, that was one thing that motivated us. It's like, you know, this is not a stewardship of the money that God's given me to steward, that I want to be giving to that kind of thing. It's really the complete opposite end of the spectrum of what I live my life to communicate the truth.
All right, so some people asking questions. Some people just joined us. They're asking what happened. Okay, brothers and sisters, here's a summary of what happened. At about 10:15 this morning, the Supreme Court issued their decision 6-3, overturning Roe v. Wade, so the Dobbs case, which also then automatically overturned Doe v. Bolton and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. We had a great decision, 6-3, which means all 6 conservative justices ruled in favor, and the 3 dissenters of the liberals did. The decision is out there. We've downloaded it. We're going to start studying it. Now, someone is asking, what's going to happen to federal funding of abortion in the states where it's illegal? So, there's a lot of implications that are going to unfold right now, and I think we'll just have to wait, for line by line, state by state, how this is all going to occur.
That's a great battle, though. There's a lot of money for the next 6 months that's already been appropriated to these groups that are no longer going to be providing those services, and we've got to get that money back.
Do you think the current administration will try to do some executive order? They don't.
Well, they're
just
certainly
like
going to slow walk
yesterday,
enforcement.
Kamala Harris was saying that the decision about the Second Amendment was a bad decision. They're gonna say the same thing. Their propaganda is now trying to discredit SCOTUS. And so, that's just part of the discussion out there that, some of it we're going to enter into, some of it we're not, because it's just bogus propaganda.
Right.
But that they've been anticipating this.
Right.
And we all do. So it's kind of a chess game. When you think about it, a lot of it is a chess game, and we just
Yeah, we have another question here. They want to know basically about, does the abortion ban in various states pre-Roe remain in effect now that this happened? And I think the answer to that question is yes.
Yes.
The
But
whatever
the
law.
question is enforcement.
What?
The question is going to be enforcement. Whether we have an attorney general
Right.
or a prosecutor that will. The U.S. attorneys probably won't. They're all appointed by Biden and have a different point of view, and they can slow walk at best.
Right.
So that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, but in states, which are probably mostly our red states, where we have the pro-life people in office,
Right.
they will then, their attorney generals will get busy now and enforce the law of their state, right? I mean, and so basically, Planned Parenthood is going to be in real trouble because they got some of these big mega abortion centers, like even in Texas. They built some pretty big mega abortion clinics down there. Well, it's going to be
Oregon has that. Yeah.
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with all their businesses now that this happened. So I would say, brothers and sisters, we have to all help with the policing right now, right? When you say, Larry,
Yeah.
like
Right.
if you see something, say something. If you see
Right.
something that's not right, you got to call the pro-life attorneys like Alliance Defending Freedom, America Center Law and Justice. There's a whole bunch of them out there. That
Thomas More, Life Legal,
right?
Life Legal,
Life
Pacific
Legal.
Foundation.
They will take up the mantle of helping shine a bright light, excuse me, and enforcing the law.
Well, and
right?
they already are. That's the other point. We made it with the question about the Shundlers or the Scheidlers, but we're going to see the same thing now. There's a lot of other cases in the pipeline that are affecting abortion state by state, and there are going to be new cases coming forward. It'll be up to the justice to decide which ones they're going to take. But we've got a lot of work to go.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I
a
think
lot
another
of
thing that
and we've got
women being
things like
empowered.
embryos, and things that haven't been talked about. The pill now it's illegal in some states and legal in others. And how's that going to work? Yeah.
Right. Well, I think some of these legal cases that come out of women suing the abortion industry from such as just the breast cancer risk that have been successful, they're now wanting to settle out of court because they don't want this information out there in the news. They don't want it on the, in the public record. So they're settling out of court and sadly giving women gag orders in order for them to get their settlement money. They then have to sign a gag order that they will not share their story.
Right.
I always say they lie, deny, and cover up the truth so that more, but we have such an opportunity, like you said, Janet, that, we used to be silenced. We weren't supposed to talk about it.
Right.
Now it is front and center. And I would encourage any legislators that are out there listening to this and watch it afterwards, become educated. If you're running for office, become equipped. There is so much information and so much. You have truth and science on your side. Don't back down.
Right.
Don't back down.
We've got Red Rose Rescues and Survivors, and that going to be challenging it in D.C. There'll be sit-ins and rescues and other protests that are going to go on, and we're going to be pushing the issue on the federal level in D.C. For sure, and in state by state. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next 6 months.
Yeah, and so some people asking, what about trying to get pro-life legislation enacted in states like New York that promote abortion? Well, see, that's why this November midterm elections are going to be so important, because you have an opportunity both on the local level and the federal level to put more pro-life people in office.
Well, that's the disappointment about this case, that we didn't go to full personhood and solve this once and for all.
Right.
Obviously, it wasn't the right time, but that's where we need to go. Just like with Dred Scott, we've got to decide that babies are babies and when they're babies at the moment of fertilization. And that's got to stop. That's going to be the big battle.
Yeah. Well, Larry and Deb, I really want to thank you for joining me this morning. This has been like Whoa! I've been sitting in this chair for 2
Brian.
hours straight broadcasting.
Oh
But
goodness.
Come on.
now's the time to let's go celebrate. Let's
Father Frank's on
have
his
our
way back,
victory.
Janet.
I'm sorry. What, Brian?
Father Frank will be here in just a minute. He's on his way back to say something.
No, we're signing off for now, and we'll
Okay.
rebroadcast later. Okay, tell
Okay.
him be
All
at the
right.
Thank you
convention,
all.
celebrate with the people there, and let everyone come to our booth and be able to really get the great resources. And before we go, I'll
Oh,
do
there you
one
go.
final promotion here for my book, Everything You Need to Know About Abortion for Teens, also for adults. You're going to need this information to be able to debate this issue properly. And in the middle, I got a baby album of the unborn child starting with
Yes,
7
that's
weeks.
awesome.
Okay, and you can get it by your copy. I'll autograph it, personalize it to you. Abortionandteens.com. Again, abortionandteens.com. Place an order today. We'll get it right out to you, because now's the time. We have those stories to talk about, the facts to talk about, how to debate this issue. Abortionandteens.com. Get your copy today. Brothers and sisters, we will be back over the next few days and all next week, where we will analyze this decision for you and give you all the information you need. Again, endabortion.tv is where to be. And we'll be back also during the week with more pro-life leaders, more commentary. And then tonight at 7 o'clock, we're going to have something brand new for you. Brand new. We have our new Pro-Life Weekly News Show tonight at 7 o'clock. Tune in, endabortion.tv for our Pro-Life Weekly News in Review. Boy, are we going to have a lot to say. This is Janet
Looking forward
Moran,
to it, Janet. Thank you.
Priest for Life, signing off for now. Thank you, and God bless, and yay for the victory for today. God bless everybody.
Love you all.
Bye.
Follow him, Father Frank Pavone, Fr. Frank Pavone, on Twitter. He is the National Director of Priests for